Chapter 1027. Heavenly Gold City. Gu family. It was as if they had gone through a cruel battle. Smoke rose from every corner of the Gu family. Most of the Gu family's territory had been reduced to ruins. It was the first time Qi Yinran led people to attack a family. And it was such a scene. Most of the Gu family members who could not escape had already surrendered. They could only hope that the family head would come back to save them. There were corpses everywhere in the Gu family. It was not an exaggeration to say that corpses were everywhere. Kuan Erishur was also seriously injured. His body was covered in bandages. They were used to suppress his wounds. Kuan Erishur was sitting on the steps, and beside him was a spear covered in blood. There were people around him on guard. After a night of battle, there were many sneak attacks. So basically, everyone was injured. Even the Liangshan brothers were injured, and the primitive emperors were no exception. Qi Yinran's condition was the best, and she was not injured, because everyone's main goal was to protect Qi Yinran. The Liangshan brothers were injured because they were protecting Qi Yinran. Moreover, there were an unknown number of top-notch assassins protecting her in the dark. Even in such a dangerous situation, they had to ensure Qi Yinran's safety. So Qi Yinran was only exhausted. Of course, most of the experts had died under the desolate heaven essence. Now the Gu family was under control. Although the White Deer Manor had lost some men, it was a complete victory in comparison. Of course, the White Deer Manor's composition seemed simple, but it was not. There were two powerful forces in the Haika dynasty: the top-notch assassins of the Gu Zong family, and the genius spirit master from the Marquis of Wanyong. The combination of these two forces was not simple at all. Li Zongjio had killed many of the opponent's experts from the beginning. The Great Elder, Second Elder, and Third Elder were all killed by Li Zongjio. There was nothing much to say about this. The Gu family was weak and empty. This was probably the first time they had been besieged. They did not have enough time to prepare. They were killed and all of them were wiped out. At this moment, Wan Yulan and Qi Yinran were resting in the main hall of the Gu family. The rest of the experts were on guard around. There was also a group of people who were searching to see if there were any fish that had escaped the net. All those who had surrendered were locked up in a courtyard. The fate of these people was still unknown. It's already dawned, Zongjio. Qi Yinran's heart tightened. Until now, there had been no news and no movement at all. How could Qi Yinran feel at ease? He could only wait here. It's a good thing that there's no movement. At the very least, it proves that the head of the Gu clan is unable to deal with Li Zongjio. Wan Yulan stepped forward and said, "In a battle between experts, the outcome could be decided very quickly or very slowly. Before they used all their means, it was very likely that they would not even know how long it would take. Li Zongjio was able to delay a supreme being for so long. It was beyond Wan Yulan's imagination. The longer the battle dragged on, the stronger Li Zongjio was. As long as Li Zongjio continued to persevere, there might be more unexpected situations. Li Zongjio might even kill Gu Tsangtian." Thinking of this, Wan Yulan shook his head. This was almost impossible. If he could do this, wouldn't Li Zongjio be equivalent to an primitive emperor expert? Just as Qi Yinran and the rest were waiting, another group of people rushed over from Sky Gold City. They directly charged into the Gu clan. Yinran, Qi Xiaohun, and a few elders appeared above the Gu clan. They directly found Qi Yinran and the rest. When the surrounding people saw that they were from the Qi clan, they put down their weapons. "Father, why are you here? And Elder Yu, why are you here?" Qi Yinran did not expect that her father would appear in front of her. "I have already passed the position of the clan head to the Great Elder temporarily. I brought these elders to help you. I thought that no matter how bad it is, I would have to protect your life." Qi Xiaohun saw that Qi Yinran was unharmed. His anxious heart was finally at ease. Previously on the way here, he had been imagining it, and he was extremely anxious. He had even prepared for the worst. However, when he walked into the Sky Gold City, he was completely dumbfounded. They actually charged into the Gu clan's base camp, and they took it down completely. The experts of the Gu clan were almost all dead. With the manpower that Li Zongjio brought over, it was hard to imagine and even hard to believe. Even if he saw it with his own eyes, he would not dare to believe it. The #1 clan in Jin region was defeated just like that? And from the looks of it, it seemed to be a complete and utter defeat. From what he saw, the fighting power of the people of White Deer Manor was stronger than expected. No, it could be said that the people of the Gu clan were much weaker than expected. Where is Li Zongjiu? Seeing that Qi Yinran was fine, Qi Xiaohun was relieved. Looking at the surrounding scene, his heart was still in a state of shock. I don't know where Zongjiu and the Gu clan head are fighting. When Qi Yinran said that, there was deep worry in her eyes. I don't know where they are. Qi Xiaohun was stunned. The news of the Gu clan head breaking through to the sovereign realm had already spread throughout the Shungyan dynasty. Now that Li Zongjiu was not killed by the other party, and they did not know where he was fighting, it meant that Li Zongjiu at least had the strength to fight head-on with the other party. When did they fight? Last night until now it has been 4 hours. Qi Yinran said. 4 hours? Could it be that the two of them are evenly matched and are in a stalemate? Qi Xiaohun was stunned. This scene seemed to be somewhat interesting. The terrifying thing about the Gu clan was that the Gu clan head was in the sovereign realm and the group of primitive emperor realm elders under him. But now along the way, they found that the elders of the Gu clan were all dead. As for the Gu family's patriarch, he had gone somewhere to fight with Li Zongjiu and had yet to return. The situation was still unclear. But at least, it was not Gu Songtian who carried Li Zongjiu's corpse back. If that was the case, Qi Yinran and the rest would not have survived until now. That lad might really be able to kill a sovereign realm expert. Qi Xiaohun could be considered as someone who had seen Li Zongjiu's miraculous abilities. To be able to do such a thing, it was beyond everyone's expectations. Only Li Zongjiu could do that. Until now, they had not seen Li Zongjiu being at a disadvantage. He was really an invincible existence. If they were not convinced, they would just fight. God knows how many impossible enemies they had defeated. Before they came, Li Zongjiu had prepared elixirs for them. With the Qi family head overseeing the place, some of them had diverted a portion of their attention to recuperate. Although they could not let down their guard completely, at least they did not have to be tense all the time. At noon, Li Zongjiu stepped on a black wind-blood shadow condor and landed on the city walls of Skygold City. At the same time, he hung ahead at the entrance of Skygold City. Although the hair was messy and there were bloodstains all over, anyone could tell at a glance. This was the head of the Gu clan head, Gu Songtian. Gu Songtian was dead. Forget it. I'll add one more chapter. As long as I have the monthly votes, I'll do anything. Chapter 1028. Gu Songtian's head was hung above the city gate. No one dared to stop such a blatant act of venting his anger. No one even dared to say anything. When the guards of the Skygold City saw this, they all hid far away. They knew very well what was going on in the Skygold City. No one dared to say anything. They didn't know what was happening in the city. Li Zongjiu landed in the Gu family. Qi Yinran and the rest didn't disappoint him. They took down the Gu family. Boom! The black-wind-blood shadow condor flapped its wings, creating a huge wave of dust. The people who were trapped in the courtyard of the Gu family saw that it was Li Zongjiu who had returned. They felt a chill in their hearts. Why didn't the family head come back? Why did only Li Zongjiu come back? The main point was that Li Zongjiu came back alive. It was even more shocking. They couldn't believe their eyes. Quiet down. Seeing that the members of the Gu clan had actually become a little chaotic, someone immediately roared out. The long whip in his hand was directly lashed out and ruthlessly lashed onto the bodies of these people. Slap. The #1 family in the Jin state was reduced to a prisoner. This situation also made people sigh endlessly. Zongjiu. When Qi Yinran saw Li Zongjiu, she pounced on him and hugged Li Zongjiu. She was afraid that she wouldn't be able to see him again after last night. If that was the case, Qi Yinran wouldn't commit suicide so easily. She would wait until she had the chance to kill Li Zongjiu's enemy before following in his footsteps. Now that she could see Li Zongjiu come back safe and sound, Qi Yinran was naturally pleasantly surprised. It's been hard on you. Li Zongjiu patted Qi Yinran's back and comforted her. Not only did Qi Yinran help Li Zongjiu take down the Gu family, she was also worried about his safety the entire night. But this feeling of being cared for by someone was indeed very good. In his previous life, Li Zhongjiu could only rely on himself when he was in a life-and-death battle. He couldn't even rely on some of his friends. Now at least someone cared about Li Zhongjiu's life and death. This made Li Zhongjiu feel warm in his heart. However, this wasn't the time to be intimate. There were so many people watching. Family head Qi, I didn't expect you to come. Li Zhongjiu saw that Qi Xiaohun was also here. Clearly, there was a trace of astonishment in his eyes. Right now, he was going to deal with the #1 clan in the Jin prefecture. Moreover, it was also one of the 4 great clans. Since Qi Xiaohun dared to come, it meant that he was prepared to die. Brat, if you dare to put my daughter in such a dangerous situation again, I will definitely not let you off. Qi Xiaohun said angrily. Originally, Qi Yanran was a good girl in the Qi family. However, after meeting Li Zhongjiu, she was directly led astray. Now she even dared to bring these old birds of the underworld to attack the Gu family. You have to know that these people in the Jianghu have no principles at all. They may be on the same side as you now, but if you lose in a while, they'll be the ones who suffer a defeat. If you are defeated, you will be betrayed in minutes. These were all very normal things. Therefore, when working with these people, one had to be careful. These people, who dared to say that they weren't careful, and were ready to run away at any time. Qi Yanran's actions were too risky. Yanran is my family. Whoever wants to hurt my family will have to step over my dead body first. Li Zhongjiu said faintly. Qi Yanran's heart pounded when she heard it. However, when Qi Xiaohun heard it, his face suddenly became strange. Damn it. I haven't agreed yet, and you dare to kidnap my daughter from my side. However, Qi Xiaohun didn't say anything. It was naturally the best that Li Zhongjiu could treat Qi Yanran as a treasure. And now, Li Zhongjiu had even killed a supreme being. This guy's strength could no longer be judged with normal eyes. There must be an extremely strong backing supporting Li Zhongjiu. Qi Xiaohun didn't ask much about Li Zhongjiu's secret. No matter whether Li Zhongjiu was a good or bad person, as long as he could be good to Yanran, it was enough. As a father, he didn't expect anything. Although the Gu family's base has been attacked by you, the Gu family has deep roots. It's impossible to kill them all. What are you going to do next? After the romance, he dared to do some serious business. Not to mention the distant ones, there were still so many captives in the backyard. Li Zhongjiu and the others came to the backyard. Hundreds of people were imprisoned here. There were also a few fierce people around with bows and arrows staring at these people. They also knew that it was impossible for them to escape. If there were any strange movements, and they were caught, their end would be very tragic. These people were not kind people. The Gu family had been peaceful for so many years, and they had long been numb. They always knew that they were the strongest in this area, and had never experienced such a life as a prisoner. All of you can leave. From today onwards, I, Li Zhongjiu, will use all my strength to hunt down the remnants of the Gu family. If anyone continues to call themselves part of the Gu family after walking out of this door, I will not let them go. If you are honest and know your place, I will naturally not pursue this matter. If you want to take revenge on me, feel free to come. Li Zhongjiu said faintly, glancing at these people in front of him. Even these people of the Gu family didn't react. Li Zhongjiu just let them go? It was that simple. Releasing the tiger back to the mountain? First of all, you had to be a tiger. They were just a bunch of sick cats. What was there to be afraid of? The Gu family had deep roots. But Li Zhongjiu had already arranged for Yun Qi to lead people. He directly went to take the heads of all the important people of the Gu family, scattered in various places. Since he was going to do it, he naturally had to do it thoroughly. In less than half a month, no one in this world would dare to call themselves a member of the Jin province's Gu family. Not only did he have to kill, but he also had to destroy their hearts. He had to completely destroy the Gu family's prestige. He had to completely wipe out all the members of the Gu family. Send out a notice for me. Have the clan leaders of the top 10 clans in Skygold City come for a meeting. It will be held in the Skygold Pavilion. Li Zhongjiu said to the Liangshan brothers. The two of them immediately went out. What a big tone. He directly had the clan leaders of Skygold City and first-rate cities come here for a meeting. It's obviously a hungmen banquet. But if you didn't come, You would have to consider the consequences. Keep the corpses of our brothers well. Return to the sacred flame imperial city and bury them. If they have families, bring them back to their families for a proper burial. In addition, for those who died in battle, each family will be compensated with 100,000 purple yuan. Everyone who is still alive, return to the manor. Those who are yuan kings will receive 3 high-grade 5th-grade elixirs. Those who are yuan emperors will receive 2-grade 6th-grade elixirs. The rewards given by Li Zongjio made these people who were bathed in blood happy. What money? It was too vulgar. Elixirs were the only reason why these people chose to join the White Deer Manor. Only Li Zongjio would be able to offer such a reward as a 6th-grade pill. Even Qi Xiaohun and the others were extremely moved when they heard this. If they had known, they would have followed Li Zongjio in the beginning. Now they were too late. They didn't even have time to drink a mouthful of soup. Chapter 1029. The people of the Gu family were dispersed. The people of the Gu family had been driven away directly. However, all the property of the Gu family was left behind. Li Zongjio ordered the person called Mao Jiang to sort out these things and calculate them. After all, if such a thing was handed over to an primitive emperor expert, it was more or less beneath his dignity. To be able to take on such a task was also a kind of honor for Mao Jiang to be put in an important position by Li Zongjio. Immediately, he went to check and calculate these things very diligently. It was not a problem to hide some of them. However, if he embezzled too much, it would be exposed sooner or later, even if Li Zongjio did not investigate. Would you have the guts to be arrogant in front of an expert who could kill a supreme master? How dare you think of doing something under the hands of such a person? Don't lose the big picture for the small. Otherwise, the consequences would be very serious. Li Zongjio helped Qi Yanran to recuperate her body. The people below had already started to count the losses and gains of this battle. They reported all the numbers in a unified manner. How did you do it? You can actually kill a supreme master. Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjio extremely shocked. Even for Qi Yanran, this matter was very shocking and hard to believe. It was difficult for her to come out of the shock. For Li Zongjio's magical ability, she could only express incomparable surprise. You will in the future too. Li Zongjio said. The Gu family is a big tree with deep roots. It is not so easy to trip them up. Letting them go is a very hidden thing for us. Qi Yanran said worriedly. The Gu family occupied the entire Jin province, and the scope of their influence was extremely wide. It was not clear how many tricks they had left behind. Perhaps there were some extremely cruel plans, and they were ready to perish together with the enemy at any time. Don't worry, we don't have to do anything. Naturally, someone will deal with them. Li Zongjio said. So what if the tree has deep roots? When the tree falls, the monkeys scatter. Now that Gu Tsangtian, this big tree, had already fallen, the people below probably couldn't even take care of themselves anymore. They were used to being overbearing in the Jin region. Next, Li Zongjio would place a bounty for the head of the Gu family. Because today, Li Zongjio had already announced that the Jin province's Gu clan would no longer exist. Anyone who called themselves the Jin province's Gu clan would be viewed as an enemy of the White Deer Manor. New grudges and old grudges. In addition to the huge bounty, the Gu family would only continue to decline. In the Jianghu, White Deer Manor's reputation was established. In the vast Jianghu, who didn't know the name of White Deer Manor? After today, the world would be shocked. 1,000-year-old family Gu family. Today they were destroyed by White Deer Manor. The head of the Gu clan's supreme martial artist, Gu Tsangtian, was hung at the entrance of Skygold City. Tens of thousands of people saw it with their own eyes. Inside Skygold City, ordinary people didn't feel much. As long as the Gu family didn't lead Skygold City to betray them, other things wouldn't affect these ordinary people and wouldn't affect their lives. But those families who had helped the Gu family last night, and those families who were in the meeting with the Gu family's third elder, all had a headache. It was obvious that Li Zongjio was a ruthless person. And this time, he wasn't here to simply destroy the Gu family. He was here to look for resources. Just some of the businesses that the Gu family had in the Jin region was already a huge sum. To be able to survive until now, One could see how strong the Gu family was. Now Li Zongjie didn't just want to take over the Gu family. He wanted to take over the entire Sky Gold City. Before heading to the Sky Gold Tower for the meeting, the patriarchs of several clans in the Sky Gold City had already begun a secret meeting. In the city, other than the Gu family, there were 3 other families who had a closer relationship with each other. The Han family, the Huang family and the Wen family. These 3 families were all in the food industry. Hence, they had a closer relationship with each other. Hence, after such a thing happened, the 3 of them hurriedly gathered together. What do you think this Li Zongjie is trying to do? His forces aren't rooted here. Could it be that he wants to take our money? The Wen family leader said. He was obviously furious. After a wolf left, another tiger came. It was even harder for them to accept such an outcome. Sigh, I'm like a fish on the chopping block. I reckon that a lot of people will suffer tonight. Let's go and see what tricks this Li guy wants to play. If this guy has some brains, he won't do anything to us. The Huang family leader said. Obviously, he was also very hesitant about this matter. No one would have thought that such a thing would happen. The originally stable order was broken today. But perhaps this was a good thing. At the very least, the dark cloud hanging over the Jin region had been completely removed. Without the Gu family in the future, it would naturally be easier for these families to stand out. They would also have a higher cultivation base and could stand out from the rest. In the future, they wouldn't be restricted by the Gu family. What would happen next would depend on their own abilities. What else can this brat want? It's just money. Prepare the money. The Han family leader sneered. The other 2 looked at each other. Under such circumstances, if they could use money to send Li Zongjie away, they would be willing to spend any amount. After all, it was only a one-time thing. They were only afraid that Li Zongjie wouldn't be willing to leave. On the same night, the 10 family leaders gathered in front of the Golden Heaven Pavilion. Because they didn't specify the time. Hence, these people were already here when the sky turned dark. However, they didn't dare to casually enter before everyone was here. The outer wall of the Golden Heaven Pavilion, that was damaged by the aftermath of the previous battle, had been repaired. It was Li Zongjie who asked Kuan Erasure to help him repair it. Now, the Golden Heaven Pavilion was directly under Li Zongjie's protection. Of course, it had to be repaired properly. Everyone please come in. Mao Jiang walked out and invited these big shots of the Golden Heaven City to enter. One must know that aside from the Gu family, these people could be considered as the sky of the Golden Heaven City. Even last night, there were many people from these families who took action. However, they all ran far away. Running away when the situation turned bad was their strong suit. However, there were also people from several families who participated in the assassination at Walnut Ridge. Of course, the final outcome was obvious. In order to cover up their previous actions, they quickly elected a new family leader. If Li Zongjie had mentioned it a little, and then came to settle old scores, then these families would all be in big trouble. A group of people walked in and arrived at the main hall of the Golden Heaven Pavilion. Li Zongjie's men weren't present in the Golden Heaven Pavilion. Only a few stayed behind to do odd jobs. Chapter 1030. Although there weren't many of them, they were filled with murderous intent. Shi Yanran didn't participate in such an occasion. Instead, Kuan Erasure sat beside Li Zongjie. Family heads, please take a seat. Serve the wine. Li Zongjie said. Then the 10 of them sat down in order. Their status was very obvious. Those who sat at the front were naturally a little stronger. Before I came, I always heard that the Gu family was domineering. But after I came, I didn't see it. Li Zongjie said. That one sentence was enough to display his domineering aura to the fullest. The Gu family had been in the Jin region for so many years. Even the Shengyan dynasty's royal family couldn't do anything to them. Instead, Li Zongjie came and wiped out the Gu family's many years of foundation. Now he was going to take over everything. The Gu family is just a group of bandits. Young Master Li, you are the real tyrant. The one family head's mouth twitched. Since it had come to this, he had to flatter him. Li Zongjie smiled. I don't dare to call myself a tyrant. But the Gu family is a group of bandits. Our White Deer Manor has come all the way to Sky Gold City to exterminate the bandits for you. We have sacrificed a lot. As the masters of Sky Gold City, you should at least show some appreciation." Li Zongjiu knocked on the table. Kuan Erasure had seen Li Zongjiu's extortion skills. Generally speaking, once you were targeted by Li Zongjiu, you could forget about living a good life. If you were willing to spend money to block the disaster, it would be over quickly. But if you were unwilling to part with this piece of meat, there would be a bigger disaster waiting for you in the future. Kuan Erasure immediately took out a book and placed it on the table. Then he looked at the one family head who had just spoken. He seemed to be waiting for the one family head to say a number first. The one family head didn't expect Li Zongjiu's extortion method to be so direct. Without any preparation, he was about to hand in the numbers. This? Young Master Li, I came in a hurry and didn't have much time to prepare. How about this? No matter how much damage your White Deer Manor suffered, we will definitely do our best to make up for it. The head of the one family was also very experienced. He didn't say a number directly. Otherwise, no matter what number he said, it wouldn't be appropriate. It wouldn't be good if it was too high, and it wouldn't be good if it was too low. All right, I've already calculated for you. Give each family 2 billion purple yuan. I'm a very honest person. Li Zongjiu said with a smile. What? 2 billion? A few people at the back did not sit properly. They stood up immediately and stared at Li Zongjiu with wide eyes. Their eyes were clearly saying that if he had to pay so much money, he might as well kill him directly. Is it too little? Just give the three who stood up just now 5 billion each. Li Zongjiu said. 5 billion. This was simply asking for a sky-high price. Li Zongjiu, don't think that just because you destroyed the Gu family, you can do whatever you want in Sky Gold City. I don't believe that if we don't hand over the money, you can kill all of us. The person who stood up was obviously prepared to go all out. Since he was going to die anyway, he might as well be firm. It would be best if he could unite everyone's strength and beat Li Zongjiu out. However, the head of the one family who stood up overestimated his influence and underestimated Li Zongjiu's temper. After all, Li Zongjiu was just a child. He looked like a teenager and didn't pose much of a threat to them. They didn't even believe that Li Zongjiu was the one who killed Gu Songtian. It must be the person behind Li Zongjiu who destroyed Gu Songtian. Maybe it was someone from the royal family. As for Li Zongjiu, he was just a cover for his withdrawal. Now, Li Zongjiu was obviously making use of the power of the person behind him to extort them. Very well, kill him. Li Zongjiu pointed at the guy who was shouting loudly. The Liangshan brothers immediately rushed forward and blasted this Yuan monarch into a pile of minced meat with a palm strike. Fresh blood and internal organs splattered on the table. The faces of the two people beside him were also covered in fresh blood. This scene was extremely impactful. Everyone who saw this was incomparably shocked. This display of strength, killing the chicken to warn the monkey, was too direct. Li Zongjiu was waiting for someone to jump out, so that he could kill one first. He wanted to use his strength to tell everyone present. Li Zongjiu could indeed cover the sky with one hand now. Seeing this person die tragically, the two people who stood up also sat back down quietly. Although their chairs were covered in blood and minced meat, they still sat there without any change in expression. If Li Zongjiu wanted to kill them, it would be so casual. Try to resist. Even if the 10 great families joined forces, they would not be a match for Li Zongjiu. The Gu family was wiped out overnight. They did not have much enmity with Li Zongjiu. Therefore, there was no need to make things like this. It was just money. If money was gone, one could still earn it. However, if one's life was gone, it would really be gone. The person sitting on the chair now was a living example. Unless you wanted to follow in his footsteps. Li Zongjiu naturally knew the character of these people in front of him. He had to kill a few of them in order to be honest. Even if he put a knife to their necks, they wouldn't feel anything. He had to cut them down with a knife. Only then would he know what was too late for regret. Look, now that these people were sitting here, they were much more obedient. With so many people here, no one dared to say anything against him. Just register them all. It's fine. Take your time with the money. I'll play around in Sky Gold City for a few more days. I'll leave when I have enough money, Li Zongjiu said. These family heads had no choice but to register obediently. They wrote down their names and numbers. The patriarchs of the 10 great families of Heavenly Gold City were now acting like enslaved prisoners, obediently handing over money. No one would have thought that these big shots, who were usually high and mighty, would have such a lowly life one day. In the eyes of ordinary people, these people were the sky. However, an even higher sky had appeared. It was Li Zongjio. I won't touch a single cent of the Gu family's properties in the city. You can divide them among yourselves. Seeing that everyone had finished registering and had a ledger, it was convenient for him to collect the money. Then, Li Zongjio's words caused everyone to be secretly surprised. Who knew how many business chains the Gu family had? Furthermore, their resources were all in the city. They couldn't take them away. Li Zongjio's White Deer Manor was an outside power. It was extremely difficult for them to enter Sky Gold City and take over these resources. Furthermore, it was extremely troublesome. There were too many things involved. The only way was to hand them over. Evidently, Li Zongjio was a smart person. If he couldn't eat something, he didn't intend to force it. However, in order to prevent Sky Gold City from falling into the hands of bandits again, I've decided to send someone to patrol once a month. As for the expenses incurred during the patrol, I'll leave them to you. As for the exact amount, I'll have someone write it down in the ledger. Just a single sentence. It caused the hearts of these family heads to sink to the bottom. Li Zongjio was clearly going to eat them up. Furthermore, this was clearly an act of collecting protection fees. He had actually come to Sky Gold City to collect protection fees. He was even collecting protection fees from them. Li Zongjio was clearly relying on them. This caused them to be at a loss as to what to do. Wasn't this even more shameless than bandits? Could it be that you don't need the protection of my White Deer Manor? If there's anyone who doesn't need it, just stand up. My White Deer Manor will no longer protect him in the future. Chapter 1031. Not protect him. Wasn't it obvious? Without the protection of the White Deer Manor, he probably wouldn't even be able to walk out of the Golden Sky Tower. Although they were unwilling, they could only suppress the anger and humiliation in their hearts. The top families of the Golden Sky City were all gathered together, yet they were being forced to pay protection fees. Such a situation was rare in the world. Even when the Gu family was still around, they weren't so overbearing. However, there was no other way. This place was under the protection of the Gu family. Therefore, these people could even look down on the Xingyan dynasty's royal family. Now that the Gu family had fallen, the Xingyan dynasty would definitely reorganize the Jin province. Without Li Zongjio's protection, this matter would be hard to say. We wouldn't dare. We'll go back and prepare. Although they had to pay protection fees, the other party only wanted a fixed amount of money. This money could be earned back. At the very least, it was a very clear amount if they opened their mouths and asked for other conditions. These families might not agree so easily. The surviving family heads of the 9 families walked out of the Golden Sky Tower. However, there was one person who was sent back in a sack. 2 billion per family. Just these people alone have 18 billion. This money is really easy to earn. They actually agreed obediently. Kuan Erishur was also very surprised. Although he looked calm during the registration process, when the numbers were written one by one, the addition of a 0 made him even more shocked. Kuan Erishur knew that it would be easy to do anything after becoming strong. However, he didn't expect it to be easy to this extent. As soon as he opened his mouth, these people directly handed over the money. These people are very cunning. However, in front of me, they are still not enough. In the future, the matter of collecting money will be handed over to you. Can you handle it? Li Zongjio looked at Kuan Erishur and said. Kuan Erishur was clearly a bit of a superstar. This was a very dangerous matter. If one's strength wasn't enough, and he still ran to collect money, the other party would turn around and kill him in a matter of minutes. If he dared to reach out, his hand would be chopped off. However, Kuan Erishur had helped Li Zongjio collect money before. Moreover, when collecting debts, it was obvious that accidents would occur. When Li Zongjio went to the Great Happiness Casino to collect debts, he directly bought the entire Great Happiness Casino. Li Zongjio had to find time to take care of the Great Happiness Casino. Don't worry. You can take 30% of the money collected. Li Zongjie said. Hee, that's easy. Kuan Erishur was suddenly surprised. He followed Li Zongjie because he believed that Li Zongjie would be able to make a name for himself. Now, who didn't know Li Zongjie's name? But sooner or later, Kuan Erishur would have a chance. Now, Li Zongjie was giving Kuan Erishur a chance to make a name for himself. As for whether he could make a name for himself under such circumstances, it would depend on Kuan Erashi's strength. If he wasn't strong enough, he would only end up as a ghost under the knife of others. The second day, Li Zongjie also directly looted the Gu family's treasury, but there weren't many treasures that could be found in the treasury. Obviously, the Gu family's wealth wasn't stored in the Gu family's courtyard, but in another secret place. This was normal. The safest place was often the most dangerous place to hide things. Just like today, the whole family was destroyed. At least the people who were still alive could use this wealth to make a comeback. Even if they couldn't, they wouldn't have to worry about food and clothing. At this moment, Mao Jiang brought Li Zongjie to an underground secret room of the Gu family. This door is called the Broken Dragon Stone. It weighs 64,000 pounds. If it can't be lifted directly, and is broken directly, the whole secret room will be destroyed directly. Mao Jiang said. After wandering in the underworld for so long, he had seen so much of the world. What's behind this door? Qi Yinran reached out and touched the broken dragon stone, trying to feel what was behind it. However, there seemed to be a strong force blocking her, and she couldn't feel anything. There was only an endless repulsive force, the secret of the Gu family's inheritance. You guys can leave first, Li Zongjie said to the few of them. Mao Jiang and the others understood and immediately left. Qi Yinran looked at Li Zongjie. Li Zongjie took a step forward and placed his palm on the wall in front of him. Then he lifted it up. The smooth dragon-breaking stone, which had no place to exert force, was lifted up so easily. Even if an primitive emperor used his origin energy, he might not be able to lift the broken dragon stone. This was because the material of the broken dragon stone would absorb origin energy. The more origin energy used, the stronger it would be. The weight of the dragon-breaking stone would continue to increase. It would be like you were constantly lifting yourself up. In that case, you would never succeed. You actually lifted it up with one hand. Qi Yinran looked at Li Zongjie in surprise. Was there anything Li Zongjie couldn't do? If there was a need, Li Zongjie might even be able to give birth to his own child. It's a piece of cake. Follow me. The two of them walked in, and the broken dragon stone behind them was closed again. Li Zongjie and Mao Jiang seemed to have walked into a secret cave. There was a well in the secret cave. From the depths of the well, a faint light was emitted. At the same time, in the secret cave, one could feel the terrifying energy coming from the surroundings. The energy was spreading out bit by bit. It was awe-inspiring. What's that? Qi Yinran looked in the direction of the well. As an alchemist, she had more or less guessed what the thing in front of her was, but she wasn't too sure yet. The Gu family's inheritance flame origin, the ancient and modern towering flame. Li Zongjie said. Qi Yinran walked closer to take a look, and saw a candle-like light swaying below. Such a weak light seemed to be extinguished by a casual blow. However, Qi Yinran could feel the terrifying energy contained in the towering flame. It was enough to easily destroy a city. The weak flame below seemed to have felt Qi Yinran's approach. At this moment it exploded with a bang. The whole dry well was suddenly filled with flames, rushing directly toward Qi Yinran. Qi Yinran was so frightened that she took a step back and bumped into Li Zongjie's arms. Don't be afraid, Li Zongjie said. Qi Yinran raised her head and took a look. The towering flame was fierce, but there was no way for it to escape from the dry well. An invisible force trapped the towering flame in it. It's imprisoned, Qi Yinran said in surprise when she saw this scene. The Gu clan's inheritance flame had actually trapped the spiritual fire in this place. Such an action was quite cruel. The Gu family's supreme being experts found this towering flame and imprisoned it here. Every 100 years a flame lotus seed, which is the flame seed, will be born. These flame seeds are used to help the Gu family master the towering flame and cultivate. Li Zongjie said slowly. A bunch of idiots. Chapter 1032. Even if one wanted to refine and imprison the spiritual fire, it would not have been done in such a manner. Once the strength of the main body decreased, the quality of the fire seed produced would only deteriorate. When Li Zongjio dug out the fire lotus seed from the ancient one's head, he already knew what these idiots were doing. Hence, even if the Gu family did not intend to cause trouble for Li Zongjio would definitely make a trip to the Gu family and take away the towering flame. The towering flame is too overbearing and does not match the attributes of your longevity tree. Protect me while I refine the towering flame myself, Li Zongjio said. As an alchemist, Qi Yinren naturally needed the help of a powerful spiritual fire. Although the towering flame's strength was damaged, it was still in existence that was close to 10,000 years old. Even a slight movement would not be something that Qi Yinren could withstand. Only Li Zongjio was suitable. In the past, no matter how dangerous the environment was, Li Zongjio would venture alone. However, it was different now. He was letting Qi Yinren protect him. For Li Zongjio, this meant that he had complete trust in Qi Yinren, which was why he made such a choice. Qi Yinren also knew how cautious Li Zongjio was, and how guarded he was. Now that he was willing to let her protect him, it meant that Li Zongjio was willing to entrust his life to her. Even so, Qi Yinren would risk her life to protect Li Zongjio. Okay. Qi Yinren nodded heavily, and replied with a single word. She held the desolate heaven essence in her hand, and stood by the side. Li Zongjio glanced at the towering flame in the dry well. Even though it had been trapped for 10,000 years, it still exuded a ferocious aura. However, in terms of ruthlessness, Li Zongjio was definitely more ruthless. He leaped and landed in the dry well. The towering flame instantly enveloped Li Zongjio ferociously. Boom! The entire well was like a cauldron that kept exploding. The terrifying roar of the explosion and the continuous heat wave made Qi Yinren's scalp go numb. It was simply suicide. And because they were here, a lot of power was isolated. If that layer of confinement was removed, the entire cave would be destroyed in an instant. Li Zongjio did not put much effort into defending. It just so happened that he could make use of the towering flames. The benefits of upgrading his ancient golden tyrant body scripture were too many. It was difficult to calculate. The benefits of upgrading his ancient golden tyrant body scripture were naturally incisive and vivid. Naturally, the further one progressed in the ancient golden tyrant body art, the more difficult it was to improve. One had to use an even more extreme method to search for an even more terrifying power. Otherwise, breaking through one's limits would be as difficult as ascending the heavens. Boom! The overbearing power of the flame surged into his body. Even though Li Zongjio's physical strength had already reached the primitive emperor realm, it was nothing in front of the overbearing power of the towering flame. He could still feel a trace of destruction will. If he was not careful, he would be directly destroyed. Li Zongjio was also quite brave. On one hand, he was absorbing the power into his body, causing his body to be riddled with holes. On the other hand, he was also refining the power. His physical body was constantly being roasted. If it was any other primitive emperor expert who jumped down, they would only end up being burned to ashes in an instant. After 10,000 years of accumulation, is this all you've got? Li Zongjio's indifferent words made the towering flame erupt with twice the power. Obviously, the towering flame had already cultivated spiritual intelligence in these 10,000 years. At least, it could understand Li Zongjio's words. Now it's strong enough. It even forced out the obsidian fire in Li Zongjio's body. Boom! Qi Yinren looked at the seal in the well in front of her. It seemed like the seal was constantly being bombarded and collided. It seemed like it would be torn apart and broken at any time. It could be seen how intense the refining below was. However, it was good that there was movement. If there was no movement, it meant that Li Zongjio was being refined by the towering flame. Therefore, Qi Yinren was extremely worried. In any case, Li Zongjio's actions had never been easy to deal with. 3 days later, a figure crawled out of the well. Qi Yinren quickly went forward to help him. At this moment, Li Zongjio seemed to be in a sorry state. The clothes on his body were directly burned away. Even his skin was pitch black, and there was even a charred smell. He looked extremely miserable. How did you end up like this? When Qi Yanran touched Li Zongjio's body, she felt that Li Zongjio was like a fireball, extremely hot. It took me a lot of effort. Li Zongjio said. Coincidentally, I'm not wearing any clothes now. You see, the heavenly dragon elixir last time. Immediately, Li Zongjio looked at Qi Yanran with a smirk. Before Qi Yanran could react, she was already pinned down by Li Zongjio. In the entire secret chamber, something indescribable was also happening. When Li Zongjio took action, he naturally succeeded in subduing and refining the towering flame. At the same time, Li Zongjio had also raised his physical body to the realm of a second-grade primitive emperor. After reaching the primitive emperor realm, if one wanted to break through again, each level would be several times more difficult than the previous one. The more accumulated, the bigger the gap would naturally become. Li Zongjio's cultivation in these 3 days was already comparable to a few years' worth of cultivation by an ordinary primitive emperor expert, or even far more than that. Li Zongjio's cultivation in these 3 days was already comparable to a few years' worth of cultivation by an ordinary primitive emperor expert. In the courtyard of the Gu family, because the land deed was in the hands of Li Zongjio, the land of the Gu family had also become Li Zongjio's property. This area could be said to be the most central area of the Sky Gold City. Of course, Li Zongjio wouldn't give it up easily. According to the future development trend, Li Zongjio had already thought about what this place should be used for. However, Li Zongjio couldn't handle this matter. In addition, there were many obstacles. It still required a lot of people to come in later to settle this matter. Have you collected all the debts? Li Zongjio asked Qin Erishur. It's all here, not a single cent less. The people of the Wen family also gave you 3 6th-grade medicinal herbs. Qin Erishur said. You're pretty smart. Li Zongjio nodded slightly. As we agreed before, 30% is yours. Li Zongjio directly used the Nangua ring to transfer the things in the storage ring. All of them were boxes of banknotes. 2 billion wasn't a small amount, but these families understood the importance of it. If they couldn't take out the money, the consequences would be unimaginable. Therefore, no matter what, he had to get his hands on the money. Okay. Qin Erishur didn't hesitate. It wasn't a man's style to shirk back and forth. After accepting the money, Qin Erishur was excited. This was the first time Qin Erishur received so much money. I'll be a rich man in the future. Qin Erishur was secretly proud. But at the same time, Qin Erishur was also very clear. His little bit of money was nothing at all. White Deer Manor spent more than 100 billion purple yuan to research a warship. The money he had in his wallet was not enough to do anything. Since everything is arranged, let's go back. Everyone from the Bailu Manor returned to their homes as well. At this moment, General's residence, Meng Hao had been tormented thoroughly for the past few days. He had never thought that Li Zongjio would really be able to kill Gu Tsangtian. Wasn't Gu Tsangtian a supreme being? How could he die just like that? Motherfucker, he's worse than me. Gu Tsangtian's head was hung on the city wall not far away. Just this point alone was enough for Meng Hao to know. Li Zongjio hung Gu Tsangtian's head up for the people in the city to see. And at the same time, for him to see, Li Zongjio wanted him dead. After a few days of torment, Meng Hao wanted to go up and apologize, but he was rejected firmly. Li Zongjio had no intention of meeting him at all. At this moment, Meng Hao's heart was dead. He hadn't left his house for an entire day. Just a while ago, Meng Hao received news. Li Zongjio and the rest had already left Sky Gold City. This is the last chance. Li Zongjio, Meng Hao, will not let you off even if I become a ghost. After Meng Hao finished speaking, he picked up the knife on the table and slashed it across his neck. If he didn't die, his family would suffer. Meng Hao believed that Li Zongjio would do what he said. Therefore, when Li Zongjio left, he chose to kill himself. Sir? Oh no, Sir killed himself. What Meng Hao didn't expect was that Li Zongjio would say a lot of things. Of course, he would do what he said. After all, a person had to be trustworthy. However, there were also some things that he said casually. As for Meng Hao, Li Zongjio had forgotten about him after he entered the city. There was no need to remember such an insignificant person. However, just because of Li Zongjio's words, the general of Sky Gold City, actually killed himself in his own study room. It made one sigh. Chapter 1033. Holy Flame Royal City. Everyone had heard about the battle results of the White Deer Manor. All of them were secretly shocked as well. They had also sent out a large number of intelligence personnel to investigate Li Zhongjio's background and find out what kind of existence was behind Li Zhongjio. A supreme being that was hard to come by in 100 years had been killed so easily. Li Zhongjio was actually able to deal with even supreme beings. Now in Holy Flame Royal City, as long as Li Zhongjio did not kill anyone from the royal family, and even if he did, he would not do it openly. At the same time, he would skip the few important members of the royal family, and there would be no problem. There were even people from the royal family who hurried to meet Emperor Xingyan. However, Emperor Xingyan was now in the Imperial Garden, playing Go with a white-haired old man. Military advisor, who is this Li Zhongjio? Emperor Xingyan chatted as he played. Even with Emperor Xingyan's status, he had a humble attitude in front of this white-haired old man. He was the ruler of a dynasty. Obviously, this white-haired old man's status was more prominent. Or rather, he had a higher seniority. This military advisor had been around since the time of Emperor Xingyan's father. According to Emperor Xingyan's father, this military advisor had been around since his father was around. The 3 generations of his ancestors had always respectfully addressed him as military advisor. Your Majesty, you don't have to worry about this person. You just have to ignore, not support, and not target him. Let this kid develop on his own. This kid will be of great help to our Xingyan dynasty in the future. The military advisor said slowly as he played his chess piece. Oh, Emperor Xingyan had always listened to the military advisor. Otherwise, when Li Zhongjio destroyed Qingyuan Manor, Emperor Xingyan had already prepared to find a reason to start eliminating Li Zhongjio's forces. However, at that time, the military advisor appeared and stopped Emperor Xingyan's actions. Later on, there were many times when he wanted to make a move against Li Zhongjio, but he restrained himself. It was only when Li Zhongjio walked out of the 3 dynasties elixir meeting that Emperor Xingyan slowly understood the words of the military advisor. As for now, even if they wanted to touch him, it would not be so easy. Although King Qing Yuan was the younger brother of Emperor Xingyan, he was not the only younger brother. Moreover, this younger brother was not unswervingly on the side of Emperor Xingyan. On the contrary, he had caused a lot of trouble. Therefore, killing him was not a big deal. It was just a matter of taking into account the dignity of the imperial family and the face of the imperial family. Just when he was about to make a move, the military advisor spoke up and stopped him. If this kid is allowed to develop, sooner or later, the power of our imperial family will not be able to suppress him. Emperor Xingyan said with a frown. This was the problem he was worried about. Emperor Xingyan could accept the previous observation. After all, Li Zhongjio was in the palm of his hand and would not fly out for a while. However, now that Li Zhongjio's wings had completely hardened, it was enough to pose a threat to the imperial family of the Xingyan dynasty. Naturally, he could not ignore it. Don't worry. I will go and meet him tomorrow. The military advisor said. People like Li Zhongjio cannot be easily offended. If you offend him, you must be 100% sure to destroy him. The military advisor said with an extremely serious expression. Understood. Emperor Xingyan said. Obviously, the military advisor had a very high opinion of Li Zhongjio. Li Zhongjio, who the hell are you? After Emperor Xingyan left, the military advisor leaned back in his chair and held a chess piece in his hand. He closed his eyes and pondered. The person behind Li Zhongjio might be from the untainted land. Perhaps he came from the same place as the sect. The military advisor opened his eyes. If that was the case, then Li Zhongjio really couldn't move around carelessly. The reason why the armament master stayed here was so that he could return one day. He didn't want to stay in this place forever. It was rare for someone interesting to appear. Of course, he had to keep him safe. Li Zhongjio had just returned to the imperial city and his White Deer mansion. A eunuch from the imperial palace came to deliver the imperial edict. Emperor Xingyan conferred the title of imperial tutor to Li Zongjio on the plaque of the White Deer Mansion. When Qi Yanran and the others heard what the eunuch said, they were all shocked. Imperial tutor. That was the position of the imperial tutor. In terms of status, Li Zongjio's current status was already comparable to Wan Yongho's. Both of them were considered equal existences in their respective empires. They were in the same weight class. Wan Yongho had made a lot of contributions to achieve his current status. On the other hand, Li Zongjio was conferred the title of imperial tutor at such a young age. It was shocking. Wan Yolan's eyes were filled with indescribable shock. Okay, accept it. Li Zongjio nodded and said. Xiao Zhao, who was standing at the side, hurriedly stepped forward and respectfully received the imperial edict, as well as the plaque. White Deer Mansion. The name of the mansion sounded decent. The craftsmanship of the plaque was not bad. It looked like it was worth some money. Therefore, Li Zongjio accepted it as a show of respect to Emperor Xingyan. When the eunuch from the imperial palace saw that Li Zongjio was so arrogant that he even allowed someone else to receive Emperor Xingyan's imperial edict, he was a little angry. Imperial tutor Li, you are still young. You should be more careful in front of the emperor. Otherwise, it won't be easy to clean up if you make a mess. The eunuch said in a strange tone. At the same time, he crossed his arms in front of him, as if he was waiting for something. Logically speaking, the person who came to convey the emperor's will should receive some benefits. This was the usual practice. Unfortunately, this rule did not apply to Li Zongjio. Let me tell you, if you don't leave now, I will ask someone to throw you out. Li Zongjio glanced at the eunuch who refused to leave and said rudely. The eunuch had probably never seen such an arrogant person who threatened to throw him out. He was really reckless. Eunuch, please. When Xiao Zhao saw this, he immediately went forward and led the eunuch out. Otherwise, with Li Zongjio's temper, he might really throw him out. If that happened, it would be the imperial family who lost face. Something bad would definitely happen. Just you wait. The eunuch was angry. He flicked his sleeves and left. He did not expect that he would be so angry when he came to deliver the reward. This unscrupulous young man would be done for sooner or later. Even if you're not done for, you'll have to think of ways to make sure you're done for. Why are you so fierce to him? Qi Yanran looked at Li Zongjio and said. Now that Li Zongjio had received the reward, it was obvious that the Emperor Xingyan was on Li Zongjio's side. In this way, at least Li Zongjio had enough status in the Xingyan dynasty. Nothing would happen to him. Others would not dare to provoke him. For Li Zongjio, this was a very good thing. As for the title, those who were really powerful would not care about these things. They were all half-baked people who were interested in this and that. He wanted to blackmail me just now. Throwing him out is already a light punishment. Let me tell you, this kind of atmosphere needs to be cured. He doesn't do things well, and only knows how to seek benefits from others. Li Zongjio said righteously. Obviously, he was extremely reprimanding such behavior. Seeing Li Zongjio's serious look, Qi Yanran also covered her mouth and smiled. Sometimes Li Zongjio was like a child. He was not like a child, but Li Zongjio had his own direction. I have to go back first. Recently, the family has encountered a lot of trouble. I have to go back to help the family solve the problem. Qi Yanran said. Call me when you go. I, as the protector of the country, will go and strengthen your momentum. Okay. Chapter 1034. Li Zongjio was conferred the title of Country Protector. White Deer Mansion was also officially renamed to White Deer Mansion. This was a plaque bestowed by the emperor. Li Zongjio's strong background was equivalent to opening up a path for him in the city. After all, Li Zongjio had eliminated the Gu family, which could be considered as solving a huge problem of the Xingyan dynasty. This reward was really deserved. As for Li Zongjio himself, he didn't care about these rewards and conferments. Let's talk about the situation in the city first. The freshman alchemy competition had ended. Longevity Academy won first place. Heavenly Star Medicine Manor won second place, followed by Azure Ocean Academy. The dignified Heavenly Star Medicine Manor was actually defeated by the other party. They were pincered by 2 academies. This made Ling Yin very angry. Therefore, these freshmen had basically bid farewell to their good days. Academies usually had two types of courses. One was martial arts, and the other was alchemy. Of course, you could also have other courses, such as elemental marks, forging, formations, and potions. As long as you could reach the qualifications to teach in this course and pass the certification, you could open a class and recruit students. Currently, Azure Ocean Academy was the academy with the most courses. There were 32 courses, and alchemy was only one of them. Even so, the other party had killed their way to the top 3. Moreover, they were only chasing after Heavenly Star Medicine Manor, which put a lot of pressure on Heavenly Star Medicine Manor. If they didn't do well, their position as the big brother of the alchemy world would probably be lost. As for the Longevity Academy, Lin Fan didn't care. After all, the other party was strong and was a truly powerful alchemy sect. They weren't the kind that could be casually bragged about. It was already very good that Heavenly Star Medicine Manor could develop to this extent. However, Ling Yan wasn't limited to this. This won't do. I have to find an even more powerful and abnormal teacher to train you guys. Ling Yan immediately thought of a person. However, Li Zhongjiu definitely wouldn't be willing to come. Who knew what this guy was busy with all day? He even heard that he had settled a supreme being. This made Ling Yan's heart tremble. Who would have thought that Li Zhongjiu had actually gone to deal with the supreme being expert, who had just broken through and killed him? Once he returned, he was immediately conferred the title of Imperial Tutor. Li Zhongjiu was actually sent out by the royal family. In any case, Ling Yan didn't care so much. He directly went to the fruit stall opposite the White Deer Mansion and bought some fruits. He then made a fruit basket and carried it into the White Deer Mansion. Ling Yan came to bother Li Zhongjiu again, but this time, Ling Yan didn't see Li Zhongjiu. He was blocked by Xiao Zhao in advance. What? Seclusion? Yes. Xiao Zhao nodded innocently. Didn't this guy just come back? Why is he in seclusion? Ling Yan suddenly frowned. Young master is injured. Xiao Zhao said softly. It was normal for him to be injured. After all, Li Zhongjiu had gone to kill a supreme being expert. It would be abnormal if he wasn't injured. Oh, in that case, I'll come back in a few days. Ling Yan nodded. In the Gu family in the city, the one in the most awkward position was Gu Sha. Gu Sha was also from the disciplinary hall, and was previously an ancient soldier. However, he heard that all the ancient soldiers were destroyed by Li Zhongjiu in an instant. How should Gu Sha view Li Zhongjiu now? Originally, he was only arranged to temporarily take over some of the Gu family's businesses in the Sacred Flame Royal City and take care of the situation. But now the main family was destroyed. What should Gu Sha and the rest do? Moreover, they also heard that Li Zhongjiu had already spread the word that anyone who dared to claim to be from the Jin Prefecture's Gu family would be killed without mercy. Gu Sha, Gu Yao and the rest gathered for a meeting. Has the investigation been done? Is the family head really dead? Gu Sha asked. How did things end up like this? Gu Sha was worried to death. However, the situation in the Jin Prefecture was already known to the world. There was no need to verify this point. Even if he didn't believe it, he had already destroyed you. If the family head is still alive, why would he let Li Zhongjiu come back alive? The group shook their heads and sighed. Their faces were ashen. Their Gu family was destroyed just like that? 2 days ago, they had held a banquet to celebrate their family head's breakthrough to the Supreme Being realm. It was only a matter of time before they took care of Li Zhongjiu and reclaimed their reputation. However, in the blink of an eye, the entire Jin Prefecture's Gu family was destroyed. Moreover, Li Zhongjiu had also spread the word that no one in the Gu family could say that they were from the Jin Prefecture. If this relationship was not completely severed, they would be seen as Li Zhongjiu's enemy. I don't believe that if we don't take the initiative to provoke this guy, he will take the initiative to kill us without any excuses. Gu Yao obviously didn't believe this. He didn't believe that Li Zhongjiu could be so lawless and do whatever he wanted. Moreover, this was in the Imperial City, right under the nose of Emperor Xingyan. No, we can't be reckless, Gu Sha said in a deep voice. Recently, he had also tried to contact some of the surviving experts of the Gu family, who were in charge of other places. After all, the Gu family had many properties. Some of the important places needed people to look after. However, there was no reply to all the messages that Wuxia sent out. Could it be that these people were no longer willing to admit their relationship with the Gu family and wanted to take this opportunity to establish their own family? Wuxia wasn't sure about the specific situation. However, it must be unusual for all of them to lose contact. Otherwise, they would have at least replied a little. They wouldn't have run away so quickly. Have you contacted the fourth elder? Right now in the Gu clan, the only one who could step out and carry the banner was the fourth elder of the Gu clan. Regardless of strength or experience, he was the most suitable candidate. Not yet. However, there is news that the fourth elder has appeared in Wuxia ancient city. We have already sent people over. The only hope is the fourth elder. Wuxia ancient city. This place was eroded by wind and sand all year round. At the same time, there were many poisonous snakes and insects. Very few people would be willing to come to such a place. However, these places were rich in resources and attracted many adventurers. An old man wrapped in a coarse cloth mask sat in front of a tea stall. In his hand, he was reading an express letter that was sent from a faraway place. His entire face was wrapped up except for a pair of eyes. What the Gu family, such a big thing has happened. Reading the contents of the letter, the old man immediately stood up in excitement. Damn it! Just as the old man was about to head back, he noticed that something was amiss with his surroundings. Someone was approaching him from behind. You are courting death. The old man was about to turn around and attack, but he realized that there was no one behind him. Chi! Just as he turned around, he saw a cold light flashing in front of him. Then, all the energy in his body disappeared like a deflated pufferfish. Chapter 1035. There was a loud clang. A head fell onto the table. The body fell straight to the ground, and blood gushed out non-stop. When the people in the area saw this, they could not help but stop moving. However, no one went forward to investigate the situation. In fact, there were people who looked around, but they did not find the culprit. That person's head was directly separated from his body, just like a broken tree branch. It was extremely shocking to see. Once the head fell to the ground, it naturally lost the effect of the mask. Someone in the crowd brought out the portrait and compared it to the person's face. Once they were certain that the mission was completed, they turned around and left. It had been nearly half a month. Palace Lord Yunqi could be said to have traveled through most of Jin province. Wherever she went, she killed all the people. Based on the name list, she killed all the important people in the Gu family. During the process, Palace Lord Yunqi also learned a lot. She had a deep understanding of the combat abilities of the four assassins. They were practically the best assassination weapons. With these four top-notch experts leading the way, there was basically no danger that could get close to them while traveling the Jianghu. However, when she thought about how two of the four people were captured in Spring Flowers and Autumn Moon Tower, she wondered why the two of them did not use their powerful abilities to fight back. Even if they wanted to escape, it would have been very easy for them. What Yunqi did not know was that the ancient Zong family's reputation was not just because they were good at killing people. It was also because there was a certain artistic atmosphere to killing people. It was not like this. When they saw someone, they would find a chance to get close to them and kill them. In truth, this assassination plan was incredibly crude. If the people of the ancient Zong family learned that they used such a method to kill people, they would definitely become famous in the family. This was a family with a lot of principles. The target of each mission had to be carefully designed. If they did not go through such a detailed plan, they would just attack. If they were lucky and did not run into any powerful people, then they would naturally kill anyone they met. However, if they ran into top-class elites, it was easy for problems to arise. Hence, if they did this, they would seem a little unprofessional. The master of the ancient Zong family had been an assassin for thousands of years, so he naturally had a set of standards. If they were the same as ordinary, despicable assassins, would that not make them seem unclassy? However, Yunqi did not know much about this. Since the mission was completed, it was time for her to go back. She had lost a lot of weight just from walking around. Li Zongjie went into seclusion in the manor for 2 days. After all, He had just subdued the towering flame. At the same time, he used the towering flame to refine some pills. Previously, Li Zongjio had said that he would reward these people. Naturally, he could not let them go. At the same time, regarding the Liangshan brothers' injuries, Li Zongjio had already agreed to help them refine medicine. However, the medicinal ingredients had to be prepared by themselves, so he immediately gave them a prescription. When the Liangshan brothers received the news from Li Zongjio, they were so excited that they almost suffocated. They did not expect that the problem that had tormented them for so many years would finally have a chance to be solved. In reality, it only required one level 6 medicinal pill per person. But to prescribe the right medicine, only Li Zongjio could take out the corresponding medicinal pills. The White Deer Mansion became famous. More and more people came to seek shelter. All of them wanted to enter the White Deer Mansion and see it for themselves. As a result, many people came to the White Deer Mansion every day. Even now, when recruiting guests, they had to go through a review. After learning that Li Zongjio had come out of seclusion, Wan Yulan also came to say goodbye. She said that she wanted to go back. Li Zongjio naturally allowed her to leave. Since I'm here, I can't go back empty-handed. Otherwise, it would seem that I, Li Zongjio, am such a stingy person. Xiao Zhao, get someone to prepare some fruits. Also bring some peanuts and melon seeds for her on the way. Li Zongjio said seriously. It was impossible to spend a lot of money, but he had to show his sincerity. Wan Yulan was also embarrassed. She did not know if Li Zongjio was doing it on purpose, or if he was always so mischievous. He seemed very happy. Understood. Xiao Zhao was also very clear about Li Zongjio's character. In principle, if you want to give something to Li Zongjio, it's very easy. But if you want to take something from Li Zongjio's hands, sorry, it's harder than ascending to heaven. Giving Wan Yulan some peanuts and melon seeds already showed how much he valued Wan Yulan. Xiao Zhao went to send Wan Yulan off. After all, she was an important guest of the White Deer Mansion. He had to treat her well. Li Zongjio was preparing to check on the situation in the White Deer Mansion. He also wanted to see how the disciples of the Li family were doing in their respective universities. Only Li Baichao was allowed to stay in the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor on account of Li Zongjio. The other disciples of the Li family were arranged to go to different universities. Li Zongjio did not specify which university they would go to. They could choose whichever university they liked. You can't expect everyone to be outstanding. Before you truly stand out, why would others choose you? At the very beginning, everyone was the same. Only when you reveal your talent will they choose you, take a fancy to you, and focus on nurturing you. However, the more than 30 disciples of the Li family had undergone 3 months of training in the White Deer Mansion. They had already been reborn and had been nourished with so many elixirs. Although their talent was not as good as some disciples of the big families, they were far better than when they were in Luoxia City. At the very least, many of them were about to reach the peak of the Yuan Master level. Of course, Li Yun's situation was not included. Li Yun had probably received some inheritance from the King of Fire. Her cultivation in the Ghost King Hall had improved by leaps and bounds. Judging from her aura, she was about to reach the Yuan Monarch level. As for elixirs, the King of Fire had also left Li Yun with a lot of them. This was enough for Li Yun to cultivate by herself. The conditions that the King of Fire had created were enough to cultivate a powerhouse in a very short period of time. Of course, the most important thing was that Li Yun was her talent in array formations. Although she was not able to set up many powerful array formations now, being able to learn them was already proof of her talent. Otherwise, when ordinary people saw things related to this formation, it could be said that they were confused. They would rather go to sleep than take a look at it. Why are you here? Li Zongjio saw a familiar figure in the White Deer Mansion. It was Yi Tianshui. She was wearing a light white dress and had a sword bracelet in her hand. Her steps were light, and it was obvious that Yi Tianshui's strength had improved. However, Li Zongjio had not expected that Yi Tianshui would actually be in the White Deer Mansion. I am now a guest of the White Deer Mansion, Lord Imperial Tutor, Yi Tianshui said with a smile. Yi Tianshui smiled. Although Yi Tianshui was proud, She felt that she owed Li Zhongjiu a lot. Therefore, she would rather be a guest of Li Zhongjiu's mansion. At the very least, she could help a little. I'm not the only one here. Leng Outyin and the others are here too. Li Zhongjiu had helped them previously and saved their lives. Now they finally had the opportunity to thank Li Zhongjiu. Alright, let's do a good job then. Li Zhongjiu did not mind. After all, he was a young man. Alright, Lord Imperial Tutor. Oh yes. There is an old man who claims to be a military master waiting for you in the living room. He said that he knows you. Chapter 1036. Military Advisor. Li Zhongjiu was not surprised when he heard the name. I got it. Yi Tianshui was very curious. This military advisor looked like an ordinary old man. How did he know Li Zhongjiu? And why was Li Zhongjiu willing to meet him? One had to know that those who came to look for Li Zhongjiu now, if they didn't have a good relationship with him, they would all be asked to leave. Usually they wouldn't see him. Even if he was free, he wouldn't see you. Being able to meet the housekeeper of the White Deer Mansion, Xiao Zhao, was already giving them enough respect. Otherwise, they would only meet the guards who came to see them off. However, Li Zhongjiu's realm was not something that Yi Tianshui and the rest could understand. Although he was now a guest of the White Deer Mansion, he usually cultivated in the White Deer Mansion or did his own things. Normally, Li Zhongjiu didn't have many tasks for them. These daily hired thugs were not of any use. Given the prestige of the White Deer Mansion, how many people would dare to provoke them? That would be no different from courting death. Li Zhongjiu came to the guest hall. He saw an old man waiting for him. When he saw Li Zhongjiu come in, the old man smiled and nodded in greeting. Guardian of the royal family, Master Soldier Spirit. Li Zhongjiu said as he walked in. There was a tinge of surprise in Soldier Soul's eyes. He had not expected Li Zhongjiu to know his identity and background. Evidently, the person behind Li Zhongjiu was not simple. In his previous life, Li Zhongjiu had communicated with the Soldier Spirit. When he had just entered the Sovereign Realm, the Soldier Spirit flew to him to warn him. However, when Li Zhongjiu broke through to the pinnacle of the Supreme Being state, the Soldier's soul chose to hide within the palace, not daring to meet Li Zhongjiu. Who would have thought that Li Zhongjiu's strength would be able to break through so quickly? It was unexpected. The reason why the royal family of the Xingyan dynasty could exist for thousands of years was that they had the support of a sect from the untainted land. Resources were exactly what these sects needed. Even the sects in the untainted land needed a huge amount of resources. Of course, ordinary people did not know about these things. Even the resources that the four big families in the city were fighting for were insignificant in the eyes of the sects in the untainted land. The sects in the untainted land were extremely powerful. Otherwise, they would not be able to control an entire dynasty. However, in front of Li Zhongjiu in his previous life, these sects did not dare to act rashly. Everyone minded their own business and occasionally interacted with each other. When one's cultivation reached that level, unless it was a life and death feud, there would not be any feud. Basically, there wouldn't be any enmity between them. And the more solitary they were, the more one wouldn't dare to provoke them. If they were to get angry, the strength of a supreme being was something that not many people would be willing to experience. Gu Songtian, who was killed by Li Zhongjiu, in reality, he was not a complete sovereign realm expert. However, he had cultivated the sovereign energy. He did not transform his physical body into a sovereign realm expert's body. The sovereign realm expert's body was a realm where one merged with the aura of the heavens and earth. If one achieved it, it would not be an exaggeration to say that one would be immortal. Naturally, one's lifespan would be extended countless times. This was also a very normal thing. As for the Soldier Spirit Master in front of him, he was a true sovereign realm expert. First heaven of sovereign realm. He had truly entered the first heaven of sovereign realm. Therefore, in the eyes of ordinary people, this Soldier Spirit Master was just an ordinary person. He did not even have the slightest bit of vitality. When one reached this realm, one could have no vitality at all. One could also use vitality that was 10 times more than that of a peak origin emperor expert. Li Zhongjiu, I will not ask about your background. Since you know my duties, I hope that you can cooperate with me. Soldier Spirit Master said slowly. From his tone, it seemed that he was still discussing with Li Zongjio. This also depended on one's personality. When one was speaking nicely, one would listen. If one did not listen, and insisted on using force, one would not have the chance to regret. It's very simple. If others do not offend me, I will not offend them. Li Zongjio looked at the old man in front of him, and said, in his previous life, this old man would avoid him whenever he saw him. Now he actually dared to come to his territory to warn him. This was very interesting. For now he was just a temporary ninja. All the conditions for a showdown were based on one's strength. If one's strength was not enough, why would others want to negotiate with you? Strength was everything. That's good. I am relieved. Please send my regards to your sect. Soldier Spirit Master said as he stood up. Obviously, in Soldier Spirit Master's opinion, there must be a powerful and mysterious sect behind Li Zongjio. Currently, there was no conflict between the two of them. Hence, there was no need to investigate further. Soldier Spirit Master was only in charge of protecting the Xingyin dynasty, not helping the Xingyin dynasty to eliminate all threats. Li Zongjio obviously knew the sect behind Soldier Spirit Master. Since he knew, he would not act recklessly. Moreover, the entire Li family was in the Sacred Flame Imperial City. As long as Li Zongjio was not stupid, he would not do anything stupid. Oh yes, I heard that the 9th prince has been bothering you in the White Deer Mansion for a long time. Emperor Xingyan misses the 9th prince very much. Why don't you let me bring him back? It's fine if you bring it back. You can go to the accountant's office to settle the expenses for these days. Li Zongjio said without hesitation. Even if you were from the royal family, you would still have to pay. These captives were kept in the White Deer Mansion, and it would cost a lot of money to feed them every day. As long as these captives worked in the White Deer Mansion and used their contributions to pay off their debts, there would be no problem. They could leave after paying off their debts. However, these captives realized that their debts were getting bigger and bigger. It seemed like they would never be able to pay off their debts unless they could become rich overnight. Soldier Spirit Master knew Li Zongjio's character and handed over the money obediently. However, when he handed over the money, even though Soldier Spirit Master was mentally prepared, he was still shocked by the bill. This place is too shady. Soldier Spirit Master thought that he would never step into this place again. It was simply a bandit's nest. Thank you, military advisor. When the 9th prince saw the military advisor, he was naturally very respectful. He did not expect the military advisor to come personally to redeem him. Could it be that his father had started to value him? In fact, the 9th prince felt pretty good staying here. He could learn a lot in the White Deer Mansion in such an environment. At least the 9th prince was being trained well. You have to pay me back all this money, the military advisor said angrily. The money could not be given away for nothing. Understood, the 9th prince said respectfully. Before leaving, the 9th prince turned back to look at the White Deer Mansion. He seemed a little reluctant to leave, but he had finally left this place and regained his freedom. Chapter 1037. Mount Xianhuang. Mount Xianhuang was located near the northern river. Beichuan was an extremely huge basin. The soil here was fertile and rich in resources. At the same time, it was also a land of great talents. To be able to live in such an environment, Beichuan was a rare treasure. In such an environment, it could naturally nurture many pinnacle powerhouses. In a place like this, rich in resources and numerous experts, it was easy for bandits and the like to appear. Therefore, the situation was rather chaotic. The dynasty had even stationed the 4 trump card armies here for training. When they attacked, they wouldn't use the Green Dragon Army's banner. But after they attacked, they would casually tell you that they were the Green Dragon Army. This kind of surprise would thoroughly shock the bandits and make them completely convinced. There was nothing much to say. If they appeared in the armor of the Green Dragon Army, these bandits would probably flee in panic. A troop was stationed here all year round, and at the same time, it was to ensure the safety of this area. They didn't want people who had nothing better to do and didn't want to cause unnecessary trouble. Recently, A vein of Xianhuang stone had appeared in the depths of Mount Xianhuang. Xianhuang stone was extremely useful in the forging of many weapons and special origin tools. Even if it was only the size of a thumb, its price was more than 100 times that of gold. The larger the volume of Xianhuang stone, the more expensive it would be, because it was relatively complete. Moreover, the larger the stone, the easier it was to produce a heart of Xianhuang. A single heart of Xianhuang was enough to bankrupt an earth elemental powerhouse. It could even increase one's elemental power by 30 or even 40%. It was definitely a divine weapon. Originally, the approval for Mount Xianhuang had already been issued. The Qi family had spent a lot of effort to obtain the mining rights for the vein. However, the Fan family, a superfamily in Beichuan province, had joined forces with the Qi family. Instead, he joined forces with his old in-laws, the Hua family, which was also the family of the Azure Dragon Legion's commander. They wanted to directly take over this place and prevent the Qi family from entering. Of course, the Hua family couldn't use such a method to abuse their power. However, not everyone in the Hua family knew about this. Currently, the highest-ranking person stationed at Mount Xianhuang was the right commander, Hua Ying. He was the seventh child of the Hua family. Hua Ying's younger sister was the one who married into the Fan family. Hua Ying held real power in his hands, and as the brother-in-law, under the persuasion of the Fan family and his sister, he was determined to do it. In any case, this matter had already been planned. The Fan family took out a land deed and said that Mount Xianhuang was their ancestors' property. They had already included it in their plans. Now that the Qi family had rashly barged in, it was tantamount to forcibly barging into their private territory and refusing the Qi family's mining team's entry. In the beginning, the two sides could only continue to negotiate. Later on, the negotiations broke down, and in the end, they had to settle this matter with their fists. The conflict between the two sides continued to accumulate. The Fan family wanted to rely on their status as a local tyrant to forcefully suppress the Qi family. At the very least, they wanted to obtain more benefits from the Qi family. That was why they went head-on against the Qi family. At first, the Qi family didn't expect these people to be so intense. That was until an elder of the Qi clan was injured. In the Qi family's meeting hall, all the elders were present. Qi Xiaohun sat at the top with a dark face. Since these Fan family people are so despicable and want to force the Qi family to take action, then come. Now the Qi family really has nothing to be afraid of. Qi Xiaohun said coldly. He had already broken through to the primitive emperor realm. Originally, he wanted to settle this peacefully. If you want some benefits, he would give it to you. However, you don't want face. Then let Qi Xiaohun have a good time. Family head, let me go. Qi Yinran stood up and said. The Fan family had gone too far. The Qi family had spent so much to cultivate Qi Yinran, in order to wait for her strength to break through, and then feed back to the Qi family. Now, Qi Yinran's strength was even stronger than Qi Xiaohuan's. Therefore, letting Qi Yinran go would be foolproof. Moreover, there were still people protecting Qi Yinran in this city. This time, Qi Yinran commanded the people of the White Deer Mansion to defeat the people of the Gu family. It was also a resounding brand for Qi Yinran, letting everyone know that this little girl of the Qi family had such a great ability. It was really admirable and terrifying. If he were to face such a beautiful girl, who turned out to be such a ruthless character, he would never underestimate her. Okay. Which elder is willing to lead the team and strengthen the name of the Qi family? A group of elders eagerly signed up, and finally the fifth elder Qi Wuji led the team. In addition, there were many experts of the Qi family. Qi Yinran didn't tell Li Zongjiu about this. Li Zongjiu had a lot of things to do. The White Deer Mansion was huge, and Li Zongjiu also had his own family. Moreover, this was the Qi family's matter. Qi Yinran and the others directly took down Mount Xianhuang. Although the Fan family couldn't resist the invasion of private property, they directly brought out the Green Dragon Army. Soon, the Green Dragon Army set out and took down the people of the Qi family. Even Qi Yinran was imprisoned by Hua Ying. The Qi family didn't expect this. These people from the Azure Dragon Army had actually gone overboard, directly detaining all of them. The people of the Hua family are too shameless. Many elders of the Qi family were also furious. How dare they directly arrest people? Could it be that the Green Dragon Army has no respect for the law? The elders were impassioned. With Qi Yinran's strength, she naturally wouldn't be trapped by them. However, Qi Yinran must have been detained by them to take care of the other members of the Qi family. Qi Xiaohun didn't expect the other party to be so ruthless. The Green Dragon Army was indeed a little too much. After a long time, these people would naturally panic. After all, this matter couldn't be solved so easily. It seems that we can't force this matter. Make an appointment with the people of the Hua family. I want to meet the Hua family's patriarch. Qi Xiaohun directly ordered. Meet Patriarch Hua. He was the real patriarch of the Hua family. His rank was also at the same level as Qi Xiaohuan's father. It was obviously not a good time to disturb such a retired figure. However, Hua Ying of Mount Xianhuang had gone too far this time. Just when Qi Xiaohun was thinking of ways to bring people out first. On the other side, Li Zongjiu had already arrived at Mount Xianhuang alone. Green Dragon Army Camp. Tell your leader to come out and see me. Li Zongjiu stood directly at the gate of the camp with his hands behind his back and said with a cold face. Chapter 1038. Li Zongjiu stood in front of the Green Dragon Army's camp. Immediately, a group of armored soldiers rushed out and surrounded Li Zongjiu. The garrisons of the Azure Dragon Army were all extremely well hidden. There were even many hidden sentries along the way. If even one's own camp was found out by the enemy, it would be a disaster. For the Green Dragon Army, such a low-level mistake could easily cost them their lives. Therefore, when they saw Li Zongjiu rush to the camp, they immediately asked for the highest commander. They even mentioned that they wanted to find the highest commander. They immediately went forward and surrounded Li Zongjiu. Put your hands on your head and lie on the ground. You trespassed into the camp. We can punish you according to military law at any time. The Green Dragon Army in front of him held a green dragon shield and a 3-meter-long green flower spear. They were awe-inspiring. Seeing that the people in front of him did not understand, Li Zongjiu directly waved his palm. Without moving his feet, a terrifying gust of wind blew the people in front of him away. Boom! More than 10 Green Dragon Army in front of him were directly blown away. The shields and spears in their hands were directly broken, and their armors were completely torn apart. Boom, boom, boom. The group fell to the ground and vomited blood. The alarm in the camp immediately sounded. Someone had attacked the Green Dragon Army. Formed the Green Dragon Formation. The Green Dragon Army immediately assembled. Many Yuan King level experts could even be seen rushing out. Hundreds of Green Dragon Army immediately formed 5 Green Dragon formations. It carried a terrifying might as it pressed down on Li Zongjiu. The Green Dragon formation in front of him was obviously a powerful formation. Whether it was against an individual expert or an enemy battle formation, the Green Dragon formation was very effective. Facing the extremely powerful Green Dragon formation that the Green Dragon Army was very familiar with, Li Zongjiu only raised his hand and threw a punch. Boom! The domineering force directly overturned the entire camp. Hundreds of people were directly sent flying. Many of them hung on the branches of the trees. Li Zongjiu was not sure if anyone died, but there were so many people. All of them must have been seriously injured. None of them were standing in their original positions unscathed. Where are your heads? Li Zongjiu came in front of a Yuan King. Yuan Kings were more resistant. After being hit by Li Zongjiu's fist, they were only seriously injured and did not pass out immediately. Commander is in North Star City. Family. Do you know the consequences of doing this? That person who looked like a captain stared at Li's eyes. He did not know who Li was, but attacking the army directly. Li Zongjiu could be taken down in minutes. However, Li Zongjiu looked fearless. He even had the guts to not take the Green Dragon Army seriously. I will spare your lives on account of your ignorance. Otherwise, all of you will die. After saying that, Li Zongjiu's figure disappeared. It was as if he had never appeared. This made the Yuan Kings lying on the ground stare. Their Green Dragon formation could deal with Yuan emperors. However, in front of the young man just now, It was like a child's play. He had directly destroyed it. Years of hard work and hard training had been destroyed by this young man in the end. There were nearly 500 people at the scene, but they were taken down in less than 3 seconds. Oh no, the commander is in danger. This Yuan king was also a captain in the army. He immediately found the camp's carrier pigeon and sent out a message to summon the commander back. At the very least, he had to remind the commander that someone was looking for trouble. North Star City, Fan Family Restaurant. At this moment, the people of the Fan family were wantonly entertaining the right commander of the Green Dragon Army, Huang. At first, Huang declined, saying that he had matters to attend to in the army and could not drink. However, after 2 or 3 cups, he immediately released his nature. Anyway, North Star City was his territory. Now that the Fan family restaurant had been cleared out, and the confidentiality work was done very well, there was naturally nothing to be concerned about. This time, we still need Commander Ng to capture these bandits from the Qi family. We have to interrogate them properly. These people are used to being arrogant. They think that this is still the sacred flame royal city, and that they have the final say. Fan Jingzhe poured wine for Huang, while gesturing to his subordinates to quickly prepare some programs. Jingzhe, it's not that I want to nag you, but these people from the Qi family are really not to be trifled with. You guys should hurry up and get some benefits, so that I can release them as soon as possible. If the family knows that I did this, I might be in trouble too. Huang drank 2 cups and said with a slightly red face, "This wine was very strong. Brother-in-law, you are the 13th son of the Hua family. With your 7th brother, you have already become the right commander at such a young age. With such talent and achievements, the future of the Hua family, including the Green Dragon Army, will be decided by you." Fan Jingzhe said flatteringly. Upon hearing Fan Jingzhe's words, Huang immediately laughed out loud. It's hard to say. As the 2 of them drank to their heart's content, Fan Jingzhe clapped his hands. Immediately, a group of gorgeously dressed women walked in and surrounded Huang and Fan Jingzhe. You have to treat Commander Hu well. If you don't treat him well, I will teach you a lesson, Fan Jingzhe said sternly. Immediately, these women rushed up and surrounded Huang. Fan Jingzhe immediately bowed and retreated. We won't disturb you anymore. This restaurant has been booked today. We won't be receiving any guests. Please have a good rest. Huang was initially pushing and shoving, but after that, he gave in half-heartedly. After staying in the army for so long, he needed to release some of his energy. Just as Fan Jingzhe was about to leave and not disturb Huang, he suddenly saw an unfamiliar young man appear not far away. Fan Jingzhe immediately raised his eyebrows and looked angry. Where did you come from, handyman? Hurry up and get lost. What are you doing here? When Fan Jingzhe saw Li Zongjiu approaching, he immediately scolded him. At the same time, he saw that Li Zongjiu was so insensible. He raised his hand and slapped Li Zongjiu's face, ready to teach Li Zongjiu a lesson. Slap. Before Fan Jingzhe's slap landed on Li Zongjiu's face, he felt his hand leave his body. Something seemed to have fallen to the ground. Fan Jingzhe looked and saw that it was his arm. My hand. Fan Jingzhe saw that his hand had fallen to the ground. When he looked at his arm, he realized that it was empty. Fan Jingzhe hesitated for a second before hurriedly covering his arm and screaming, "Ah, my hand!" Li Zongjiu pressed Fan Jingzhe's face and slapped him into the room he had just come out of. At this moment, Huang was dancing with a group of women. He was having a good time. Bang! Fan Jingzhe was thrown to the ground. Blood was still gushing out of his broken arm. Huh! Huang immediately woke up when he saw this scene. Who is it? Li Zongjiu ignored Huang and picked up a steel knife on the table. There were a few words engraved on it. Green Dragon Right Commander. Chapter 1039. You're the leader of the Green Dragon Army? Li Zongjiu glanced at the saber in his hand, and then at Huang in front of him. When the surrounding women saw Fan Jingzhe, whose arm had been cut off, and Li Zongjiu walking in aggressively, they all panicked and screamed as they fled. It was not easy to be a prostitute. People would rush in to take the lives of their guests, so they had to be prepared to run for their lives at any time. All of them fled in an instant. Yes, I'm the right commander of the Green Dragon Army, Hua Ying. Who are you? How dare you hurt someone in front of me? After Li Zongjio heard the latter's admission, he directly slashed down with his saber. Seeing Li Zongjio attack, Hua Ying subconsciously wanted to defend himself, but he found that he had no chance to dodge at all. He could only watch as the saber slashed down on his body. Slash. Hua Ying's entire body sat on the ground, and then he was directly split into two halves. When Fan Jingzhe turned around and saw Hua Ying's dead body, he immediately vomited in shock. Such a tragic death. And it was so simple. How did this young man do it? He even dared to kill a general of the imperial army in public. This was an enemy of the Xingyan dynasty. This was a rebellion. After Li Zongjio slashed Hua Ying with his saber, heavy footsteps came from the corridor. The city guards of North Star City had arrived. Previously, Li Zongjio killed a lot of people when he landed and created a lot of noise. Moreover, there was a distinguished guest in Fan Family Restaurant today, so the city guards wanted to curry favor with him. So they paid close attention to him. But they happened to encounter such a thing. This immediately made Wei Quan, the commander of North Star City, happy. This was great. It was time to show his face and make a contribution. Bang! The door was directly smashed into pieces. Wei Quan walked in under the escort of many city guards. After the city guards walked in, they immediately surrounded Li Zongjio. Wei Quan's face was full of anger, as if he wanted to enforce the law impartially in front of Hua Ying. Even if he wanted to express his goodwill, he wouldn't be so obvious. However, when Wei Quan walked in, he saw Fan Jingzhe lying on the ground with one of his arms cut off. He quickly went forward to help him up. Isn't this Steward Fan? This? As Wei Quan spoke, he suddenly saw a corpse behind the table that had already been split in half. The corpse was covered in blood and internal organs. Hua Ying, right commander of the Green Dragon Army. Now he had become a corpse. Wei Quan's pupils shrank when he saw the state of death. He had been in charge of the army for so many years, and had seen all kinds of brutal murders. However, Li Zongjio's saber was as fast as lightning. When the person was chopped to death, the person was still alive. He could even see Hua Ying trying to put his head back on before he died. You actually killed General Hua Ying. Such a big case was actually in Wei Quan's hands. While Wei Quan was shocked, he was also extremely excited. Taking down Li Zongjio was a great achievement. Not to mention the reward, at least his reputation would soar. Slap! Wei Quan had just walked up to Li Zongjio, and was about to say a few harsh words, when Li Zongjio directly slapped him in the forehead. Two of Wei Quan's teeth were knocked out. His mouth was full of blood. Most importantly, Wei Quan didn't see Li Zongjio's movements at all, so it was impossible for him to dodge. You actually dare to hit me. Wei Quan couldn't take it anymore. This kid was too arrogant and simply lawless. Wei Quan immediately prepared to give the order to tear Li Zongjio into pieces. However, Li Zongjio directly threw a token at Wei Quan's face. Clean up this place, and bring me to the Fan family. Li Zongjio's tone was really arrogant. Then, he swaggered out of the place, ignoring the weapons of the soldiers. The soldiers didn't know what was going on, but they didn't dare to stop him or ask. Wei Quan originally wanted to give the order to take him down, but he saw that the token in his face was a little familiar. It had a very familiar royal emblem on it. Imperial Tutor. Lord Imperial Tutor. When Wei Quan saw the token, he immediately sucked in a breath of cold air. He felt his whole body go limp. What day was it today? Was it the wrong time to go out? These batches of people were not to be trifled with. Wei Quan had already made a decision on the spot. He couldn't give up such a good opportunity so easily. He hurriedly followed Li Zongjio. Damn, this was the Imperial Preceptor. He had accumulated several lifetimes of good fortune to be able to work under the Imperial Preceptor. How many people dreamed of this? Although Hua Ying's status was respected, and he had military power in his hands, Hua Ying's status was very high. But there was nothing he could do. He was already dead. What else was there to say? He could only bury him. Go to the Fan family? Wei Quan immediately gave the order to bring Fan Jingzhe along. Fan Jingzhe was even more stunned when she saw this. Why was Wei Quan still smiling foolishly after being slapped by that kid? This was a slap in the face. Could it be that he had been beaten silly? Fan Jingzhe was about to ask Wei Quan when he saw Wei Quan give the order to tie Fan Jingzhe up. Commander Wei, what do you mean by this? The murderer is over there. Fan Jingzhe hadn't expected that this fence-sitter would actually dare to deal with him. What kind of madness did he have to do such a stupid thing? Steward Fan, your Fan family is in big trouble now. Wei Quan shook his head helplessly. The Fan family was quite powerful in North Star City, and sometimes gave them more benefits. Therefore, Wei Quan still wanted to support the Fan family and extort them at the same time. However, for some reason, the Fan family had provoked Li Zongjiu, who had just been conferred the title of Protector of the Nation. Although the position of Protector of the Nation didn't have any real power, he had a real name. No one would dare to touch him if his name was hung here. Otherwise, they would really be making an enemy of the Xingyan dynasty's royal family. As long as he had this title, the Xingyan dynasty was behind him. Who would dare to mess around? A mere Fan family was probably going to be in big trouble. Commander Wei, what do you mean by this? Explain clearly. Wei Quan couldn't be bothered to explain to Fan Jingzhe and gave the order to take him away. Then, Wei Quan quickly caught up with Li Zongjiu and respectfully returned the identity token to Li Zongjiu. Lord Imperial Tutor, please forgive me. I failed to recognize Mount Tai and almost offended you, Lord Imperial Tutor. Go to the Fan family. Yes, Lord Imperial Tutor. Wei Quan didn't ask why they were going to the Fan family, or what they were going to do there. He didn't know anything and didn't dare ask. Looking at Li Zongjiu's expression, he knew that nothing good was going to happen. Chapter 1040. Today, the Fan family was holding a celebratory banquet. Therefore, the atmosphere was extremely joyous. However, just as everyone was eating happily, a servant came to report. Family head, bad news. The restaurant has been smashed. The Fan family restaurant had been smashed. Of course, they had to inform the Fan family and immediately take note of this matter. What? Who did it? The family head of the Fan family, who was also Fan Jingzhe's elder brother Fan Yan. Fan Yan's face was filled with anger. Could it be that someone deliberately came to ruin the Fan family's business? Because of Hua Ying's special identity, Hua Ying was not supposed to step into the city. He could not even be anxious with the local nobles. This was to prevent corruption and bribery from happening. However, this kind of thing could only be discussed in public. Even if some illegal things were done in private, as long as no one investigated, the family behind it could cover up the matter if the family was powerful enough. Now that someone had gone to the restaurant to cause trouble, it was obvious that they were targeting Hua Ying and the Fan family. They wanted to make things difficult for the Fan family. I'd like to see who dares to cause trouble at this time. I've already taken down the chief family in Monarch City. Who dares to cause trouble in front of me? Fan Yan said angrily. Family head, let me bring the person back to you. A more proactive elder of the family stood up and said. This elder of the Fan family was also a more radical one. Of course, he had to seize such a good opportunity to perform a meritorious service. All right, I'll leave him to you. I want him alive. Fan Yan said. If he killed him directly, how could he vent his anger and establish his authority? He had to let these brats know who the real winner was. Now that they had the Green Dragon army behind them, they had an absolute status even in North Star City. They were not people who could be provoked as they wished. Now that the Fan family was in the limelight, if they wanted to cause trouble at this time, they would obviously be courting death. You guys come with me. The elder of the Fan family immediately selected a few of the more powerful guards in the family to go out and capture the troublemakers. However, just as he stepped out of the banquet hall, he saw a group of armored city guards rushing into the Fan family's courtyard. What's going on? The city guards immediately rushed in, armed with spears, and surrounded the entire banquet area. 2 rows of soldiers stood neatly in front of the banquet. Commander Wei, what do you mean by that? The elder of the Fan family saw Wei Quan walk in. Beside Wei Quan was a graceful young man. No, to be precise, Wei Quan was beside the young man. Wei Quan raised his hand, and the soldiers behind him threw the injured Fan Jingzhe to the ground. Hibernation awakening. The Fan family elder was shocked when he saw Fan Jingzhe with a severed arm. Everyone in the Fan family was puzzled when they saw this. Fan Yin stood up and walked to the front. When he saw the lineup of Wei Quanban's men, he realized that they were not to be trifled with. Wei Quanban was clearly not giving him any face. Otherwise, he would have at least greeted them. Seeing this, Fan Yin also realized that something was not right. Commander Wei, may I know how my Fan family has offended you that you need such a big lineup? Fan Yin was neither servile nor overbearing when he spoke. After all, Wei Quan usually appeared to be weak. Now that the Fan family had Hui Ying's support, at least for now, they would not appear too humble in front of Wei Quan. On the other hand, Wei Quan should be more careful. Otherwise, he would not be able to continue being the commander. Sir, this is the head of the Fan family, Fan Yen. Wei Quan said to Li Zongjiu, ignoring Fan Yen. Poor Fan Yen. Facing Li Zongjiu, the imperial tutor, he was still so arrogant. He was simply courting death. He actually ignored the imperial tutor. Wei Quan shook his head inwardly. Fan Yen did not even have this bit of eyesight. Fan Yen also seemed to realize that something was wrong. Wei Quan was actually introducing him to Li Zongjiu. What did this mean? Very good. Li Zongjiu nodded. Then he took a step forward. Before Fan Yen could react, he directly grabbed Fan Yan's face and slammed him to the ground. Bang! Fan Yen immediately fell to the ground, and his teeth were knocked out. Then Li Zongjiu stomped his foot. Fan Yan's head was smashed to pieces. He stomped the head of the Fan family, Fan Yen, to death on the spot. Fan Yen did not even know who the person in front of him was, what he was doing, and why he wanted to kill him. However, Li Zongjiu was so straightforward. He killed him first. Capture everyone from the Fan family. Kill anyone who dares to resist. Li Zongjiu said indifferently. He instructed Wei Quan, who was beside him, to take action. Although Wei Quan felt that it was very difficult, he still walked out. He ordered to capture everyone from the Fan family. Wei Quan, what do you mean by this? Can the city guards kill people so insolently? If you don't give the Fan family an explanation today, I will definitely report it to the Supreme Court. An elder of the Fan family shouted directly. He killed their head of the Fan family. The head of the Fan family was killed just like that. Did you think that it was a joke? It was almost as if he came directly to deal with the Fan family. He was going to take off the Fan family's head. Cut the crap. This is the protector of the nation, Li Zongjiu. Wei Quan could not be bothered to talk nonsense with these people in front of him. He could already tell that Li Zongjiu came here today to take their lives, and not to joke or play games with them. Wei Quan was quite experienced in the aspect of acting according to the situation. For people like Li Zongjiu, he didn't need to say anything and just directly acted. High efficiency would bring about an increase in favorable impression points. Such people liked efficiency. No one dared to resist, because the death of their head of the Fan family had stunned them. Tie them all up on the drill ground. Tie them up, and let them be exposed to the sun and rain. Without my orders, no one is to be released. Yes, Sir Imperial Tutor. Wei Quan replied. Imperial Tutor? Li Zongjiu. What's the situation? I don't know how we offended Sir Imperial Tutor. How could he treat our Fan family like this? An elder who was captured and brought to Li Zongjiu asked in confusion. Your Fan family has offended someone you shouldn't have. Li Zongjiu patted the elder's face and said coldly, if you're not strong enough, don't go around offending people. Immediately, everyone in the house was captured and brought to the drill ground. As for the rest of the Fan family, Li Zongjiu did not deal with them. If they wanted revenge, he would welcome them at any time. Li Zongjiu liked these people to come for revenge, and then completely trample them under his feet. But so far, he had not met anyone who dared to come for revenge. Qi Yin ran, and the others were locked up in a dungeon in the city. This dungeon was also under the jurisdiction of the Green Dragon Army. It was considered a secret dungeon. After all, the Green Dragon Army often took action against some powerful bandits and the like. Some important missions also required them to be locked up and interrogated. Li Zongjiu came to the secret dungeon. There were 2 guards at the door. but they were directly punched by Li Zongjio. He rushed all the way in. Yin ran. Li Zongjio directly tore down the iron bars of the cell and held Qi Yinran, who had a happy face, in his arms. I knew you would come. Chapter 1041. Qi Yinran was not worried about her safety. These people would not dare to do anything to her. She was just like an ordinary girl, hoping to see her man descend from the sky and rescue her from this prison cell. Although this was a little boring. However, Qi Yinran had waited for so long. In just one day, Li Zongjio appeared in front of her. Why didn't you call me here earlier? Li Zongjio's tone was a little resentful. In his previous life, Li Zongjio had also been in prison. The feeling of being in prison was not good. The surroundings were chaotic. How could he let Qi Yinran experience such an environment? I can't always rely on you, right? Why not? Li Zongjio looked at Qi Yinran and said in a slightly domineering manner. As the two of them exchanged glances, they seemed to be transmitting something. If this scene continued, the style of the scene would change. The elder in the other cell also coughed a few times. Cough, cough, cough. Qi Yinran woke up and pushed Li Zongjio away. This guy was too bad. The aura on Li Zongjio's body was too attractive. Li Zongjio looked at the elder with some displeasure. Why was he stirring up trouble? However, even though he was displeased, he could not just beat him up. After all, he was a member of the Qi family. He still had to give him some face. Although Li Zongjio was more domineering, he was not that brainless. He rescued the people of the Qi family. Qi Yinran was a Yuan King level elite. The equipment in North Star City did not have the ability to trap her for the time being. Therefore, she was only locked up there symbolically. However, the other people were also wearing some shackles that restricted their Yuan power. How is the situation of the Fan family? Qi Yinran asked. When the group of people walked out, they happened to see Wei Quan waiting at the door. The reason they could find this place was because of Wei Quan. I killed a commander of the Green Dragon Army. I also killed the head of the Fan family. The others have been tied up on the school ground. Li Zongjio said faintly. Li Zongjio wanted to talk about Wei Quan's background, but he didn't seem to remember. My name is Wei Quan. I'm the chief of the city guards. Wei Quan quickly introduced himself. Greetings, Chief Wei. Qi Yinran said. The Qi family elder also stepped forward and tried to get close to Wei Quan. In the future, when he mined black-yellow ore, he would inevitably have to deal with the people here. Of course, he had to handle the relationship well. Moreover, the Qi family also needed to set up a branch in the North Star City. Otherwise, it would be difficult for them to deal with this matter in a centralized manner. After all, the Qi family was far away in the sacred Flame Royal City. With such a long distance, many messages could not be delivered in time. Killing the commander of the Green Dragon Army is no small matter. After exchanging greetings, the Qi family elder frowned as he listened to Li Zongjio's words. Originally, this matter was already quite complicated. Now that the commander of the Green Dragon Army was killed, the matter had become even more troublesome. So what if it's the Green Dragon Army? Their commander is not here today. Otherwise, I would have twisted his head off. Li Zongjio said. Originally, the well water does not interfere with the river water. But now that you want to touch Qi Yinran, you are making an enemy of Li Zongjio. How can I let you live peacefully? I have to report this matter to the family head as soon as possible, the Qi family elder said. When they walked to the drill ground at the city gate, they saw that all the people of the Fan family were tied to wooden stakes. All of them had been tied up and given a good beating. Their hearts were filled with relief. Qi Yinran also glanced at these people with extreme indifference. From the beginning, these people did not have a stable footing. They just wanted to use the power of the Green Dragon Army to compete with them for the black-yellow Oregon. They did not even want to compete. They just wanted to make trouble and then reap benefits for themselves. Only people like them could do such despicable things. As soon as they saw an opportunity to reap some benefits, they would never miss the opportunity. It was also extremely disdainful. The people of the Fan family stared at Li Zongjio, and the people of the Qi family with hatred. They did not expect the Qi family to find a more powerful backer. But now that a commander of the Green Dragon army was dead, this matter was not so simple. The Hua family behind this would certainly not let it go. Therefore, this matter had already plunged the Qi family into an abyss of suffering. The end would be very interesting. The people of the Fan family were not in a hurry. Now that they could not come down, they would wait for Li Zongjio and the people of the Qi family to accompany them. The elder of the Qi family sent someone back to the family headquarters to report this matter. After Qi Yinran had Li Zongjio's support, she directly displayed her skills and commanded the remaining people to carry out some of the mining work of the Black Yellow Mountain. First, she rented a big house in the North Star City to arrange some logistics for the people who would arrive later. Li Zongjio did not worry about these things. Instead, he directly returned to the Sacred Flame Imperial City. If the Hua family knew about this matter, they would definitely come to cause trouble for Li Zongjio. What was there to be afraid of? If they had the courage, they could come directly. Moreover, Li Zongjio's current status, although he did not dare to directly order the Green Dragon army to attack, at least with his position in the Green Dragon army, without Emperor Xingyan's order, the Hua family together would not be able to touch a hair on Li Zongjio's head. This was the convenience that came with identity. Hua Ying's status in the Hua family was not low, and he even had a very bright future in the army. However, Li Zongjio directly chopped off his head. No one would have thought that such a situation would happen. The Hua family had a reputation outside. Even if an imperial tutor really came, or if another more arrogant and insolent imperial tutor came, they would teach him a lesson for the sake of the Hua family. How could they directly take the latter's life? Always leave a way out. However, Li Zongjio did not like to leave a way out. Give you face. In front of Li Zongjio, your face was not enough. There was nothing to give. If you have the ability, just come and fight. He had always been domineering. However, he did not know how the Hua family would deal with Li Zongjio's provocation this time. Young master, there is news of His Excellency the King of Fire. Li Zongjio had just returned to the White Deer Mansion. Xiao Zhao walked up to him. Where is he? The primitive Blaze territory. Xiao Zhao took a deep breath, calmed herself down and said, the primitive Blaze territory. A trace of surprise flashed across Li Zongjio's eyes, but he quickly understood. Although the primitive Blaze territory was extremely dangerous, it was more likely for the King of Fire to achieve a breakthrough in such a place. I understand. Also, young master, there is a clue that you asked us to find the primordial beast of the wood attribute. It is very likely to be true, but we have no way to verify it. Speak. Chapter 1042. Heaven Ridge Mountain Range Mountain Seagull. With a gentle flap of its wings, it could overturn the mountains and fill the seas. Mountain Seagull was also considered a mutated beast with an ancient bloodline. The difference between it and ordinary meta beasts was like the difference between heaven and earth. This kind of mountain seagull could even compete with the peak bloodline of meta beasts like the dragon race. It could be seen how strong it was. According to the information provided by Xiao Zhao, a mountain seagull had appeared in Heaven Ridge Mountain 10 years ago and swallowed an entire mountain. This caused a broken beam to appear in Heaven Ridge Mountain Range. Although what everyone saw was something that happened 10 years ago, many people still remembered it clearly. Later on, many people went to search for it, but they couldn't find any clues. They couldn't find the legendary mountain seagull, and it disappeared just like that. It's really not easy to find a supreme meta beast. Li Zongjio was hesitant after reading the information from Yuan Beast Workshop. After all, the mountain seagull's strength wasn't simple. With his current state, it wouldn't be easy to resist the mountain seagull. Let's wait for a while. Recently, I have reached a bottleneck. I have to find a way to break through. Li Zongjio could clearly feel that it was very difficult to raise his cultivation through cultivation. At least, the speed of improvement was very slow. Li Zongjio couldn't stand it. The soul-returning beast had completely refined Gu Tsangtian's soul into extremely pure energy. It also helped Li Zongjio to raise his mental strength. Now his mental strength had entered the second-grade Meta-Emperor realm. On the contrary, his elemental energy cultivation was lagging behind. In the next 2 days, Li Zhongjie mobilized his resources and found some extremely precious herbs to refine a batch of 6th-grade elixir pills. Above the White Deer Mansion, thunderclouds could be seen rolling. It was as if the heavens were punishing the people in the White Deer Mansion for their actions. The terrifying lightning that kept surging was unforgettable. Some people even stopped to admire the terrifying lightning from afar. Although they were constantly being struck by lightning, others were envious. If they were in Li Zhongjie's shoes, they would also be willing to be struck by lightning. Because every time he was struck by lightning, it meant that a grade 6 medicinal pill had appeared. That was a grade 6 medicinal pill. Many alchemists in the city were also deeply moved. Although Li Zhongjie from the White Deer Mansion didn't do anything other than refine pills in his own territory, this was already the greatest display of his abilities. He told these people that he, Li Zhongjie, was refining grade 6 medicinal pills again. Just as Li Zhongjie was swallowing a pill to cultivate, it was a huge military family, the Hua family. The families that had controlled the Green Dragon Army for nearly 100 years were quarreling over Li Zhongjie. That day, Li Zhongjie directly broke the arm of the third elder of the Hua family. Moreover, he threw Huaqing directly onto the road, not caring about their face at all. He didn't take the Hua family seriously, and now he was even more arrogant. He had actually killed Huaying. Huaying could be considered Huaqing's uncle. He had also been groomed by the Hua family. Although he was a little greedy and lustful, he was an absolute expert in leading troops into battle. He was a valiant general. Huaying usually didn't like to fight with others. He was also proud and arrogant, so most people wouldn't be able to interact with him. However, this time, he had been killed by Li Zhongjie. According to this news, Li Zhongjie didn't give Huaying any chance to retaliate. He had killed him on the spot. Li Zhongjie is just a newly appointed Great Master Protector. Even if he were a first-rank minister, the Protector Duke, or the various princes, he wouldn't be able to kill him just like that. Huaying was the commander of the Green Dragon Guard. How could the commander of the Green Dragon Guard be executed so easily? The third son of the Hua family, Hua Third Master, had been looking for an opportunity to take revenge on Li Zhongjie for a long time. However, last time, it seemed that someone had stepped in to mediate the matter. The old master of the Hua family had stepped in and temporarily suppressed the matter. The other party seemed to have a powerful background, so they didn't want to make a big deal out of it. They gave each other face and kept their grievances to themselves. The Hua family had simply endured it and treated it as if they had suffered a grievance in silence. But this time it was different. The arm could be reattached. However, a dead person couldn't be brought back to life just by putting the corpse back together. As a result, these people were enraged. The eldest son of the Hua family and the second son of the Hua family sat in their seats, not saying a word. The eldest son of the Hua family, Hua Tianjia, looked at the second son of the Hua family, Hua Feihong. Feihong, what do you think of this matter? At this moment, everyone's eyes were focused on Hua Feihong. He was the commander of the Green Dragon Army. He had 2 commanders under him. Under the 2 commanders, there were also many guard captains. The person who had questioned Li Zhongjie earlier was a guard captain. At this moment, it was the Azure Dragon Guard. Although many people in the Hua family had retired from the Azure Dragon Guard, they still had a strong attachment to the Azure Dragon Guard. There's no other way. We can only fight. Hua Feihong also let out a long sigh. Right now, the Green Dragon Army only had 2 options before them. They could either directly take action and capture Li Zhongjie, or report to the imperial court and ask for Emperor Xingyan's military order to capture Li Zhongjie. However, it was difficult to understand Emperor Xingyan's temperament. They wanted to protect the reputation of the Hua family. When dealing with Li Zhongjie, they would first probe the imperial court's intentions. If there were no problems, they would immediately mobilize their troops and completely capture Li Zhongjie. Act first and report later. If they did not make any moves, it would definitely damage the prestige of the Green Dragon Army. However, after the deed was done, someone had to take the blame. After all, the target was the great protector of the nation. If they took him down so easily, it would be a disgrace to the imperial court. Therefore, after killing Li Zhongjiu, as the commander of the Green Dragon Army, he had no choice but to step down. It was already a great thing to be able to keep his life. Hua Tianjia obviously knew this. If they were to fight Li Zhongjiu, it would be equivalent to killing 1,000 enemies and sacrificing 800 of their own men. It would be a very tragic outcome. However, this matter concerned the reputation of the Green Dragon Army. They had no choice but to act. Even if Hua Feihong wanted to personally deliver his head, he had to kill Li Zhongjiu first. If that's the case, what are we waiting for? Hua Third Master was very enthusiastic. Just as the Hua family was ready to make arrangements for their next move, someone shouted loudly in the courtyard, "The imperial edict has arrived." Hua Tianjia and the others exchanged glances. They were obviously quite shocked by the appearance of this matter. Emperor Xingyan obviously had other intentions for issuing an imperial edict at this time. By the will of the heavens, the emperor decrees that the situation in Beichuan has been stabilized. He orders the Green Dragon Army to head to the Nanjiang region and guard the prefecture city in the central plains of Nanjiang. Mobilize the army to Nanjiang. Chapter 1043. Hua Feihong and the others didn't understand what the emperor meant. Why would he send their troops to Nanjiang at this time? Although Nanjiang was a dangerous place, it wasn't too dangerous. There was no need for them to stay in such a place. Emperor Xingyan obviously wanted to send them away at this critical juncture to prevent the Green Dragon Army from clashing with Li Zhongjiu. "Eunuch, what is the meaning of this?" Hua Feihong asked in a low voice. Emperor Xingyan was obviously trying to protect Li Zhongjiu. It was infuriating. Was Hua Ying's death going to be forgotten just like that? "General Hua, military orders must be obeyed. I don't think I need to remind you." The old eunuch handed the imperial edict to Hua Tianjia. Then he said to Hua Tianjia, "His Majesty also said that Hua Ying's death was his own fault. If the Green Dragon Army isn't disciplined, then it will be the Hua family's responsibility. Farewell." As soon as he said that, the leaders of the Hua family felt a chill run down their spines. After so many years of peace, they had almost forgotten about it. Who was the ruler of this world? Although they were in charge of training the Green Dragon Army, they weren't the Hua family's private army. They couldn't use the name of the Hua family's army. If they did, the emperor would be disgusted. They looked at each other. It seemed that the Green Dragon Army had indeed gone astray these days. It might even be because of the Hua family's leadership. They could even imagine that if they attacked Li Zhongjiu this time, it was very obvious that they would be completely killed. The entire Hua family might be implicated. Who the hell is this Li Zhongjiu? When Li Zhongjiu was mentioned, the entire Hua family felt extremely terrified. Li Zhongjiu was only one person, but he had almost caused the entire Hua family to fall into eternal damnation. Everyone in the Hua family was silent. It was just an imperial edict, but it was enough to wake them up. The Hua family was nothing special. They were still under the control of the emperor, so they had to stay calm. Otherwise they would die. On the second day, most of the Hua family's troops had already gathered their men and horses, and were heading towards the southern region. After the Green Dragon Army left the Sacred Flame Royal City, only half of the Vermilion Bird Army was mobilized to guard the Sacred Flame Royal City. One of the captains was probably equivalent to a chiliarch. The only difference was that each soldier had a different name. One of the captains was even wearing a scarlet suit of armor. Her long black hair was tied into a ponytail and hung down behind her back. A vermilion bird sword hung at her waist. This was the standard of a commander of the Vermilion Bird Army. When they saw the Vermilion Bird sword, no matter who they were, they had to immediately call them general. The soft armor accentuated the captain's figure. As night fell, they entered the city. The Vermilion Bird Army was also very excited about the change in troop movements this time. They had been training in the incandescent mountains for so long. They didn't know how long it had been since they had entered the city and enjoyed such a peaceful time. "Boss, the wind in the city is too comfortable. I haven't felt such wind in a long time." A muscular and fat man appeared beside the captains. "Hee boss, do you think we're going to be promoted? You better shut your mouth. Good things never come out of your mouth." the chief said straightforwardly. This kind of blunt tone made Iron Pestle scratch his head. She was clearly a slender and elegant girl, but her tone was so impolite. Not only that, she didn't hold back at all when she attacked. Although the chief was a woman, no one could compare to her. However, there weren't many men who could compare to the corporal. This was why Iron Pestle admired the corporal so much. Boss, are you going to look for that person this time? That guy. Isn't he that student from the Heavenly Star Medicine Manor? Hee boss, don't tell me you've fallen in love with that guy. Get lost. Suemo sent the metal rod flying with a kick. His mouth hadn't been quiet the entire day. Moreover, he hadn't said anything decent. He had long wanted to kick him out. If he didn't teach him a lesson, his mouth wouldn't stop. You lead the team to the encampment first. I'll be back soon, Suemo said to Iron Pestle, who was kicked away. Tai Chi also flipped over and stood up. He rubbed his buttocks as he agreed. Yes, sir. Watching Iron Pestle leave, Suemo took a deep breath and walked towards the White Deer Mansion not far away. Sumo's current strength was all thanks to Li Zongjio, who gave him a 1,000-year fire glass flower. Although Suemo hadn't broken through to the Origin Emperor realm, he was incomparably powerful in the army with his 6th-level origin spirit. Because of this, he was valued by his superiors and focused on grooming him. Now that he was the chief, the next level was the deputy commander. 1st-level commander. Therefore, the person Suemo wanted to thank the most was naturally Li Zongjio. Although the army was isolated, it was necessary to know some important news about the imperial court. Therefore, Suemo also knew that Li Zongjio was now the imperial protector. He had directly become the imperial tutor. Such a change was extremely inconceivable to Suemo. Suemo wasn't even sure if the current Li Zongjio still remembered him. After all, almost a year had passed. In addition, Li Zongjio was now in a high position and had achieved extraordinary results. He wasn't a simple student of the Heavenly Star Medicine Mansion anymore. Even the current Li Zongjio wasn't simple. There wasn't anything strange about it. Suemo arrived in front of the White Deer Mansion. White Deer Mansion is off limits to unauthorized personnel. May I know who you are? The guard at the entrance stopped Suemo. However, seeing that Sumo's aura wasn't simple, and that the people who usually came in and out of the White Deer Mansion weren't simple, his tone was more polite. My name is Suemo. Please announce that I'm Li Zongjio's friend. Suemo said. Please wait a moment. Then, a guard went to report that Suemo was actually a friend of the young master. Usually, the young master didn't have many friends, but even if there weren't many, he still had some. As long as it was related to the young master, he couldn't be careless. Are you General Suemo? Xiao Zhao walked out of the mansion and welcomed Suemo in. I am. Suemo nodded. I'm the housekeeper of the White Deer Mansion. You can call me Xiao Zhao. The young master told me that if General Suemo comes, please rest for a few days until he comes out of seclusion. Xiao Zhao said. He still remembers me? Chapter 1044. Xiao Zhao smiled faintly. Of course I remember. Sumo's heart relaxed slightly. Normally, he wasn't so reserved, but when he came to see Li Zongjio, he had a strange feeling. Suemo wasn't very clear about the reason for the transfer of the army, but he heard that it had something to do with Li Zongjio. However, Suemo didn't care about this. She had her own judgment about who had saved her life and who had treated her well. It's good that you remember. Sorry I can't stay for long. There are some things I need to take care of in the army. Since he's still in seclusion, I'll come back next time. Suemo said straightforwardly. Xiao Zhao didn't stop him. Li Zongjio did tell him to stay, but he didn't tell him to stay. Xiao Zhao only found out that Li Zongjio had a friend in the Vermilion Bird Army after connecting with Li Zongjio. Of course, he couldn't let go of such a good relationship. He sent Suemo to the door. The transfer of the Green Dragon Army to the Vermilion Bird Army could be considered a new security system. At least in the future, the Green Dragon Army would be able to recognize their position. After being controlled by a family for a long time, they would make such a low-level mistake. They actually wanted to do such a thing. The whole family thought too highly of themselves. With this departure, Most of the relationships that were maintained within the city were also directly severed. The foundation that some people had laid in the past had also completely turned into ashes at this moment. The Vermilion Bird Army was new blood that had just entered the city. It wouldn't be easy to rope them in. As for the city guards, the commander of the city guards was about to retire. The few vice captains below were also getting restless. However, Wang Ding's recent promotion also made the other vice captains not dare to act rashly. Although Wang Ding only had a battalion of soldiers, the battle strength of the Tusk Battalion was unimaginable. The rest of the 6 battalions were beaten down. Every time there was a competition in the army, the Tusk Battalion would have an internal fight in the end. This made people very unhappy. In addition, he had the financial support of Boyu Casino behind him. If they wanted equipment, they had equipment. If they wanted money, they had money. There was almost no doubt that he would become the regiment commander directly. The only thing he lacked was his own qualifications. After all, he had only been the vice regiment commander for a short period of time. If he wanted to become the regiment commander immediately, he would probably encounter a lot of resistance. However, this was nothing to the latter. Now he understood. He had established his prestige in the army. If he, Wang Ding, did not take office, not many people would be convinced. As for Wang Ding, Taifai could take care of him. With the two of them assisting each other, they were able to take care of everything. Basically, there was no problem. For Li Zongjio, the White Deer Mansion's influence in the military had increased by a large margin. Wang Ding's status and strength had increased, but he did not forget Li Zongjio's kindness. If it were not for Li Zongjio, he would not have been able to climb up so quickly. After knowing that Li Zongjio had directly become the protector of the nation, he admired Li Zongjio even more. At the same time, he was even more determined. As long as he followed Li Zongjio, there would definitely be no problems. His future path would be incomparably smooth. He was a better person. In the past, he did not know which idiot was loyal to the 9th prince. Until now, he had not even left his life. Originally, Wang Ding had been very worried that the Hua family of the Green Dragon Army would act against Li Zongjio after he heard that Li Zongjio had killed Huaying. Therefore, he had sent people to keep an eye on the Hua family's movements. This was not a time to joke around. His actions were not only to protect Li Zongjio's safety and fulfill his duty, but also to ensure that he would have a better future in the army. Fortunately, there was no real danger. The other party had also been transferred away very quickly. Wang Ding did not know if this was intentional or not. Wang Ding admired Li Zongjio very much. Only Li Zongjio could do this. He had killed the right commander of the Green Dragon Army and sent these people out of the Sacred Flame Royal City. He really admired Li Zongjio. Li Zongjio was the only one who could do this. Now that Li Zongjio's reputation had spread throughout the Sacred Flame Royal City, everyone knew that Li Zongjio had the backing of the royal family. Even the Green Dragon Army had been implicated. This was because a few of his deputy commanders, and even the commander, knew about Wang Ding's relationship with the White Deer Mansion. Therefore, the next election would be held about 6 months later. Basically, Wang Ding would be the next one. As long as he followed the rules in the city and didn't make any accidents or major mistakes, there wouldn't be any problems. The position of commander of the city guards of the Sacred Flame Royal City was not a position that ordinary people could hold. Even Wang Ding felt like he was dreaming. He had never thought that he would have the opportunity to reach such a high position. However, I still have to find some time to visit the young master. This matter can only succeed with the young master's support. In order to secure this position, Wang Ding had to visit Li Zongjio. They had not seen each other for a long time. Although he had become more familiar with Taifai and the others these days, he could not be too distant from Li Zongjio. However, he couldn't become estranged in front of Li Zongjio. Otherwise, Li Zongjio would casually find someone to replace him. It was an extremely normal thing. White Deer Mansion. Li Zongjio had come out of seclusion. In fact, it was not considered seclusion. It was just that the time he took to cultivate was slightly longer. In addition, Li Zongjio was usually comprehending holy stage yuan skills. Of course, it would take more time. When he heard Xiao Zhao say that Su Mo from the Vermilion Bird Army had come to find him, Li Zhongjiu quickly recalled that the girl he had met at Skyblaze Mountain could be considered a friend of life and death. In any case, Li Zhongjiu had saved Su Mo many times. Furthermore, he had given the fire glass flower to Su Mo. If Su Mo could grasp this opportunity, he would definitely be able to make a name for himself. Naturally, he would be able to work together with Li Zhongjiu. He has already been promoted to captain. Li Zhongjiu was slightly surprised. To be able to become a captain in the Vermilion Bird Army in a year was already a very good result. Some of the seeds that had been planted back then had already bloomed and were about to bear fruit. The next time he comes, just call for me directly, Li Zhongjiu said. He quite likes Su Mo's character. Otherwise, he would not have given Su Mo such a good opportunity to change his fate. In fact, it was Li Zhongjiu's kindness. Chapter 1045. The competition between the princes in the city for the position of crown prince didn't show any signs of weakening. However, the flames of war hadn't spread to Li Zhongjiu yet. Therefore, the White Deer Mansion had been extremely quiet recently. They didn't pay attention to the disputes in the city and didn't participate. However, news of the eagle warship had gradually spread. The production of the first generation of the warship had officially started. The production factory was located in the mountain behind the White Deer Mansion. A workshop had been set up there. Many large financial groups and merchant alliances, after hearing of this matter, hurriedly brought large sums of money, saying that they wanted to invest in the White Deer residence and provide some assistance in the production of the Eagle battleship. However, the White Deer Mansion rejected these wealthy financial groups and announced a three-way cooperation with the Song family Song Jiyu and the Qi family. The Zheng family was also given a name. After all, the Zheng family was weak. If it hadn't been for Li Zhongjiu's conscience, he would have swallowed the Zheng family up long ago. Li Zhongjiu didn't need to do this. If he was so short-sighted, how could he achieve great things in the future? The appearance of the Eagle warship had even alarmed the royal family's Celestial Workshop. The Celestial Workshop was the dynasty's weapons research institute. Some new heavy weapons had also come from the Celestial Workshop and were far ahead of the rest. However, the weapons that had been released and announced were only those that had been eliminated. The truly top-notch weapons had always been hidden in the depths of the Celestial Workshop. They would only be taken out at the most critical juncture. The Celestial Workshop had specially sent a master to the White Deer Mansion to consult and research. Li Zhongjiu had also named the newly established workshop the 100 Ghosts Workshop. It meant the 100 Ghosts Craftsman. The 100 Ghosts Craftsman was also a very powerful figure in the legends. It was said that when he forged weapons, it was as if thousands of ghosts were helping him. He could unleash astonishing power. When Li Zhongjiu's 100 Ghost Square was able to create such powerful weapons, it would naturally become famous all over the world. At that time, some of the best weapons would also be created by Li Zhongjiu's 100 Ghost Square. Currently, Li Zhongjiu's White Deer Mansion had several organizations set up. First was the Housekeeper's Office. The Housekeeper's Office was independently recruited by Xiao Zhao. They were mainly bookkeepers, and there were also some risk calculation and cost control. Simply put, they were there to help the White Deer Mansion make money and spend it. The second was the Office of Advisors. Some of the guest officials, aides, and Jianghu experts were all considered as part of the Office of Advisors. Currently, they were also managed by Xiao Zhao. The third was the Office of Guards. The work of the guards in the mansion was handed over to the Office of Guards. The person in charge was Liu Pei. The soldiers who had retired from the Tusk Battalion were directly trained here to protect the White Deer Mansion. They originally thought that after leaving the Tusk Battalion, they would lose the opportunity to become soldiers. Who would have thought that Li Zhongjiu would change and become the Imperial Tutor? After the Imperial Tutor was conferred the title, he had the right to train 5,000 private soldiers. Therefore, these guards became soldiers again and had their military ranks again. Even the ordinary army had no binding effect on them. Not only were they a private army, but they were also subordinates of the state preceptor. As for the Imperial Tutor, Only Emperor Xingyan, or the joint consent of all the officials, could punish him. Therefore, even if the city guards or other armies wanted to charge into the White Deer Mansion, they had enough status to block them outside. They were that unyielding, unless they had an imperial edict in their hands. Li Zongjie was currently in the limelight. As long as he didn't commit any treason, there wouldn't be any problems. There were also the Thousand Machine Workshop, Elemental Beast Workshop, and Ghost Doctor Workshop that were transferred from Qingyuan Villa. The Thousand Machine Workshop had always been helping the White Deer Mansion to collect information. In addition, the Elemental Beast Workshop also helped Li Zongjie raise the elemental beasts in the back mountain. They also recruited some disciples and taught them the art of taming beasts. Recently, they were also training a group of brave and valiant wasteland wolves. They were expected to be assigned to the office of guards. In this way, they would definitely be able to create an army that would cause people to tremble at the mere mention of their name. The third prince had made a move against Li Zongjie many times. Moreover, the announcement of the crown prince's position was also imminent. Soon, it would be time to count all the troops. The third prince's overall strength was currently in the lead, but to truly become the crown prince, he had to push his own people into the position of the city guards. The city guards had to have the people in their hands. Because of the adjustment of the Green Dragon army, the third prince was somewhat surprised. Originally, he was almost done negotiating with the Hua family. However, who knew that the Hua family would be directly deployed? This made the third prince want to cry but have no tears. At this moment, he naturally didn't have time to deal with the Vermilion Bird army. Therefore, he could only set his sights on the city guards. One of the vice commanders of the city guards was discussing this matter with the third prince. This vice commander was called Yuan Mashan. In the city guards, he was definitely at the level of a veteran. His achievements were also very good. However, he was helpless as his strength gradually faded. Therefore, Yuan Mashan already felt like the setting sun. Seeing that everything that originally belonged to him was suddenly snatched away by Wang Ding, who had just rushed in, made Yuan Mashan's heart filled with grief and indignation. It was a pity. However, this was a cruel world. If you couldn't do it, others would do it. Even if you could do it, others would do it better than you. Then others would do it first. This was the situation that Yuan Mashan was facing now. At this moment, the third prince came looking for him. Previously, the third prince had contacted Yuan Mashan. However, at that time, Yuan Mashan saw the current situation and didn't understand it. Therefore, he might as well just wait and see. He wasn't in such a hurry to agree. At this moment, in front of the temptation of the third prince's conditions, Yuan Mashan finally nodded his head. If I can become the commander of the city guards, I am willing to serve the third prince like a dog or horse. Yuan Mashan said respectfully and sincerely. The third prince also nodded his head. Before seeing the benefits, he wouldn't directly agree. After all, this was a matter of life and death. Moreover, it was uncertain whether he could do it well. With the third prince's current power, it wouldn't be so easy to defeat Li Zongjie. Therefore, in short, show me your strength first. After I become the commander, everything will be negotiable. Alright, it's just a Wang Ding. It won't be difficult to get rid of him. The third prince smiled slightly. In order to make Yuan Mashan the next regiment commander, he didn't have to touch Li Zongjie. He just had to kill Wang Ding. Wouldn't that be enough? Even if Li Zongjie wanted to promote another person to the top in a short period of time, it would be impossible. After the two clinked their glasses, Yuan Mashan took his leave. Chapter 1046. Sacred Flame Royal City. In a small tavern in a secluded area, there was an old man and a young man sitting there. The young man was sipping his tea. Usually, he would sit in this tavern for an entire day. He was listening to a lady in white playing the zither in the bamboo forest opposite him. There's not much time left. Young master, why aren't you taking action? The old man looked at the sky. Then he looked at the script on the table. On the calendar, the dates had been crossed out one by one. Now there was less than half a year left. He had to put an end to this matter. However, his young master was still here drinking and listening to music. This is the best part. Sure. The young man waved his hand, indicating for the old man to keep quiet. The old man was helpless. He could only sit there obediently. However, it was obvious that the old man felt like he was sitting on pins and needles. Finally, when the song ended, the old man opened his sleepy eyes and looked at the young man with anticipation. Young master? It's getting late. Let's sleep. The young man yawned and stretched. Obviously, he was not going to do anything at this time. Young master, you. When the old man saw this, he revealed an expression of knowing that this was the case. Young master, how are you going to fight for the crown prince's position like this? I'm going to sleep. The young man lay down on the ground and started to sleep. The next day, the young man woke up and continued with what he was doing for the entire day. He simply wanted to waste his time here. The old man could not stand it anymore. However, after the young man woke up, he dressed himself up. This made the old man realize that his young master had been sitting in this tavern for an entire year. He even changed his name. No one knew who he was or what he was going to do. He was just sitting in this tavern, drinking and listening to music. Today there was finally some action. Instantly, the old man felt as if he was in a dream. He couldn't really be dreaming, right? Old Lou, what are you waiting for? Prepare the horse. Old Lou was stunned for a moment. When he heard the young man's words, his face changed into surprise. He's here. Immediately, a white horse-drawn carriage left the tavern and headed toward a certain place in the city, squeaking all the way. Young master, which family should we negotiate with first? White Deer Mansion. Old Lou was driving the carriage. When he heard this name, he was also stunned. Although Old Lou looked old and weak, everything was done by Old Lou. They even came up with a plan. As long as they followed the plan and gradually disintegrated the forces built by the previous princes, they could easily become the most unexpected force among them. He believed that many people would not have thought of such a thunderous way of fighting, but no matter what, the first one shouldn't have come to deal with Li Zongjio. Now, everyone knew Li Zongjio's strength. Moreover, because of Li Zongjio's actions, the Emperor Xingyan was also supporting Li Zongjio. At this time, it was obvious that they were not going to fight head-on. Young master, what do you mean? Didn't we agree to take down the people of the Elite Business Alliance first, then the four families? If we go directly to Li Zongjio, the situation will not be optimistic. Old Lou immediately tried to persuade him. Who said I'm going to fight them? I'm going to ask for advice. The young man said with a smile. He looked like he was about the same age as Li Zongjio. Old Lou did not understand why the young master did this. If he exposed his strength in advance, it would be very dangerous for him. It was obviously risky to provoke Li Zongjio at this time, but the young man seemed to have seen through it. Old Lou did not know what the young master of the Z family was planning, so he could only drive the carriage to the White Deer Mansion. Butler Zhao, the 14th prince is here. Lu Pei came forward and said, The 14th prince. Xiao Zhao's eyes flashed with a trace of surprise. Emperor Xingyan was about to announce the candidate for the position of crown prince in half a year. At this juncture it was time to take action. If someone wanted to make a final effort, it would be at this time. Right or wrong, success or failure, it would be at this moment. There were only 14 princes in the entire Xingyan dynasty. At least, that was all they had found so far. It was not so clear whether another one would suddenly appear later. Although the 14th prince was the youngest, he was also the most mysterious among all the princes. Li Zongjio had told them to find the whereabouts of the 14th prince. In Xiao Zhao's opinion, the 14th prince did not have the strength to compete with the other princes. However, Xiao Zhao did not dare to underestimate Li Zongjio's words. The other party only came as a guest and did not reveal his true identity. However, the people in the White Deer Mansion already knew. This was not surprising. When they found out that the 14th prince was still in the city, Xiao Zhao specially sent a group of people to observe the 14th prince. Quickly welcome him. No matter whether the visit was good or bad, they had to welcome the 14th prince. Although they had imprisoned the 9th prince before, it was Li Zongjio who did it. If they were in his place, they would not dare to do so. Go and tell the young master that I will personally welcome the 14th prince, Xiao Zhao said. Lu Pei nodded. Okay. Lu Pei jogged all the way to Li Zhongjio's courtyard. He saw Li Zhongjio sitting under a parasol tree and meditating. Although Lu Pei did not know what Li Zhongjio was doing, he did not dare to ask. What's wrong? Li Zhongjio opened his eyes and saw Lu Pei, who looked as if he was constipated. If he wanted to go to the toilet, he should go to the toilet. Lu Pei did not know what was going on. Young master, the 14th prince is here. Lu Pei saw Li Zhongjio's reaction and hurriedly said. Although the prince's visit was a secret, he was still a prince after all. He couldn't afford to neglect him. Let him wait. I'm meditating, Li Zhongjio said indifferently. At this moment, he was meditating on the spiritual hell. He was sitting under the parasol tree. Then Lu Pei clearly saw the parasol tree behind Li Zhongjio begin to change. It was as if a year had been compressed into a minute. It was completely displayed on the wutong tree. Just looking at it was enough to shock everyone. Oh my God! Lu Pei's eyes widened when he saw this scene. As for Li Zhongjio's words, he could only convey them truthfully. There was nothing he could do about it. When he returned to the living room, he saw the 14th prince chatting with Butler Zhao. For White Deer residence to be able to achieve what it has today, it can be said that housekeeper Zhao has contributed greatly. After a conversation, the 14th prince was full of praise for Xiao Zhao. From his tone, it was clear that he admired her from the bottom of his heart, and was not flattering her against her will. Chapter 1047. 14th Prince, you flatter me. I'm just doing my best, said Xiao Zhao. The little assistant who followed behind Qi Yin ran back, then had now become a big shot in Royal City. Now, everyone knew the name of the head of White Deer residence, housekeeper Zhao. It was just that Li Zhongjio's fame was too strong now. Sometimes he would slightly neglect other people. But after a little understanding, after learning a little more, they would know that Li Zhongjio was not the only young expert in the White Deer mansion. Where's the young master? When Xiao Zhao saw that Lu Pei had returned alone, and had been gone for such a long time, he must have already told Li Zhongjio the news. Greetings, 14th Prince. The young master asked you to wait in the mansion for a while. He's still cultivating, Lu Pei said. Although Li Zhongjio's original words were not like this, it was roughly what he meant. According to Li Zhongjio's original words, he directly asked the 14th prince to wait. How presumptuous. Since he knows the identity of the prince, he actually asked the prince to wait for a subordinate. Old Lu was extremely angry after hearing this. This kid was too arrogant. It seemed that no one could deal with this kid normally. Old Lu, shut up. Don't talk nonsense. Old Lu didn't know how to be polite. Old Lu didn't expect the young master to be so angry, so he quickly apologized. Old Lu didn't expect the young master to be so angry. Of course, he was not convinced. When he saw Li Zhongjio, he would definitely let him know how powerful he was. Although Li Zhongjio was rumored to be very powerful everywhere, Old Lu did not believe it. He only believed in the young master in front of him. Compared to the young master, the others were all fake. The young master's strength was the real power that he had seen with his own eyes. He was the real genius. In the future of the Xingyan dynasty, only the young master would be able to sit on the throne. The others were not destined to be the son of heaven. It's our fault for coming here so abruptly. Since you've agreed, I'll just sit here and wait. You can all go ahead and do your work. There's no need to entertain me. The 14th prince was also very humble. Xiao Zhao had a lot of things to do, so he naturally couldn't chat with the 14th prince all the time. Therefore, he had Lu Pei and the others serve the 14th prince. He took his leave first. While waiting, Lu Pei ordered people to pour tea for the 14th prince. During this time, Old Lu was also waiting by the side. During this process, Old Lu also felt very impatient. But his family's young master hadn't moved yet, and didn't say anything. Naturally, he couldn't say anything, and just sat quietly at the table. Just the tea alone had been added to 6 pots in a row. The tea leaves were also changed 3 times. When night fell, Lu Pei's ears suddenly twitched. Li Zhongjio's voice was transmitted into his ears. It was as if Li Zongjiu's voice was directly transmitted into Lu Pei's ears. It made Lu Pei's eyes light up. The 14th prince on the opposite side also seemed to have sensed something, and looked at Lu Pei curiously. Lu Pei had already come forward and said, "Prince, the young master invites you over." "What? He actually wants our young master to see him?" Hearing this, old Lu immediately couldn't sit still. This is clearly a rebellion, isn't it? He actually wants a prince to see Li Zongjiu. You, Li Zongjiu, are the great protector of the state, not the great protector of the heavens. How can you be more important than the emperor? Old Lu, you sit here and don't wander around. The 14th prince stood up and said. As he spoke, he had already walked out of the room. Please lead the way. Seeing that the young master was about to walk out, old Lu's heart was filled with anxiety. If something went wrong, wouldn't it be troublesome? Therefore, at this moment, his heart was filled with anxiety. He wanted to follow the 14th prince, but he was afraid that his young master would be angry. If that happened, the consequences would be severe. However, his young master's temper was also very good. If he went, would he be bullied by that brat Li Zongjiu? Therefore, old Lu's heart was filled with worry. Young master, you have to be careful. Old Lu had no choice but to return to his seat after shouting at the 14th prince's back. When the 14th prince first saw Li Zongjiu under the tree, he felt a sense of danger. Immediately, he felt a strong sense of danger. This Li Zongjiu was actually more powerful than he had imagined. It seemed like the news of him killing a sovereign expert was not a rumor, but true. Chang'an greets imperial tutor Li. Chang'an was the 14th prince's name. The position of the crown prince is yours. Why are you looking for me? Li Zongjiu looked at the 14th prince in front of him with interest. If he had not been reborn, Li Zongjiu might not have had any impression of the 14th prince. He might not have even taken the 14th prince, who had done nothing, and had no achievements seriously. After all, the 14th prince was born with a humble background. To outsiders, he was very lucky to be able to live until now. If he still wanted to forcefully get involved in such a situation, he would be looking for trouble. Even if they were to become cannon fodder in this battle, no one would be surprised. However, Li Zongjiu knew that the 14th prince would be the future winner. There was no doubt about it. A glint of surprise flashed across the 14th prince's eyes. Imperial tutor Li, why do you say so? I didn't know at first, but you have already obtained the inheritance of the Earth Palace, and the successor of the Saturn Palace. What's so strange about this? Li Zongjiu glanced at the 14th prince. Of course, it was not considered a doubt. After all, it was in his previous life. Li Zongjiu was not interested in the 14th prince's secret. He only knew that this guy became the crown prince later on. It was a pity that he had been the crown prince for a long time. Now that he saw the 14th prince, Li Zongjiu also saw the hidden power in him. Saturn Palace. It was one of the 5 strongest sects in the ancient times. 5 Elements Palace. The 5 Elements Palace was originally one, but later on, it was estimated that there were differences between the inheritances, and they could not come together. Therefore, everyone was divided into 5 sects, each with their own camp. The strength of any one of the 5 Elements Palace was stronger than the strength of any current dynasty. To be able to obtain such a strength inheritance, it was indeed a very difficult thing. Therefore, Li Zongjiu was very surprised. The 5 Elements Palace was basically crippled when Li Zongjiu had the strength in his previous life. Therefore, Li Zongjiu did not know where the 5 Elements Palace was. In addition, Li Zongjiu was constantly being forced to improve his strength rapidly. Therefore, he did not greedily look for the 5 Elements Palace. Later on, he found out that most of the star palaces were abandoned. He did not expect that one of them had been taken by the young 14th prince. When he heard Li Zongjiu's words, even the 14th prince's face changed instantly. He did not expect Li Zongjiu to see through his trump card at a glance. Chapter 1048. After knowing that he had the Saturn Palace, Lin Feng did not intend to attack him. This made him nervous. The 14th prince was not sure if he was a match for Li Zongjiu. Sure enough, this trip was too risky. He needed to be more stable. Even if Li Zongjiu killed him, and took away his inheritance, no one would come looking for him. After all, the 14th prince had chosen to hide his tracks previously. Therefore very few people knew where he was. With Li Zhongjiu's means, he was completely capable of erasing him completely without anyone noticing and covering any traces. The 14th prince instantly tensed up. Don't worry. I have no interest in your inheritance. If you have nothing else, you can leave. Li Zhongjiu looked at the 14th prince's vigilant and regretful expression. Li Zhongjiu couldn't help but smile. Did this brat really treat his things as treasures? It was really funny. The 14th prince smiled awkwardly. Although his back was already soaked in cold sweat, the 14th prince believed in his own strength. However, he did not know why he still believed in Lin Feng. As long as Li Zhongjiu made a move, he could take his life in an instant. Therefore he was nervous. To be honest, I want to cooperate with Imperial Tutor Li. The 14th prince took a few deep breaths in his heart. Turning around and leaving now was the smartest thing to do. As long as he left, everything would have nothing to do with the 14th prince, and he would be able to settle his own matters. He reckoned that he would not have any interaction with Li Zhongjiu. However, the 14th prince had a premonition that this was a very good opportunity. He could not let it go. If he missed it, he would not have the chance to regret it. Li Zhongjiu glanced at the 14th prince and found that the latter's eyes were filled with ambition. This made Li Zhongjiu very curious about what this kid wanted to do. At the same time, Li Zhongjiu also had a feeling in his heart. The greatest contribution of his appearance was to change history. Perhaps because of Li Zhongjiu's rebirth, the development of the previous life would not be so smooth. Although it was said that everything had its own destiny, Li Zhongjiu's previous life would not be so smooth. But in reality, everything had its own variables. No one could have imagined the changes that would occur during this period of time. I want to ask Imperial Tutor Li to help me ascend the throne. The 14th prince stared into Li Zhongjiu's eyes and said seriously, "Ascend the throne." The 14th prince was talking about the throne, not the position of crown prince. Obviously, the 14th prince knew that ascending to the position of crown prince wasn't difficult. But ascending to the throne would take a lot of time. Even in this process, it was very likely that some unpredictable accidents would occur. Only ascending the throne was the 14th prince's goal. This guy really dared to dream. Li Zhongjiu looked at the 14th prince in front of him and couldn't help but laugh. In the end, he laughed out loud. This made the 14th prince a little absent-minded. What was Li Zhongjiu trying to do? Why was he laughing for no reason? In fact, Li Zhongjiu didn't want to have anything to do with the royal family. After all, in this life, Li Zhongjiu only wanted stability and peace for his family. However, the 14th prince's appearance changed Li Zhongjiu's mind. Li Zhongjiu had helped many people change their fates before, such as Santong, Tianfei and Suemo. These people's fates were all in Li Zhongjiu's hands. However, their changes didn't affect Li Zhongjiu much. Therefore, it didn't seem strange at all. Li Zhongjiu could also accept what he had done. However, if he changed the fate of one person, it would be enough to change the fate of the Li family. If he helped the 14th prince to the throne, it would definitely affect the Li family. In the process, Li Zhongjiu would also have the opportunity to make the Li family bigger. The spirit of adventure was still necessary. If one didn't have the spirit of aggression and aggressiveness, one would regress. This was because other invaders were constantly improving. Soon, one would be overtaken by them. If one wanted to live, one had to maintain the wildness and constantly become stronger. In an instant, Li Zhongjiu made up his mind. Help. This was life. Change. Since the heavens had changed Li Zhongjiu's fate, then evil venerate Li Zhongjiu would have to act recklessly for once and completely rewrite the fate of the world. All the luck and fortune would be concentrated on the Li family. He had to make the Li family a transcendental family. If I help you to the throne, what can you do for me? Li Zhongjiu looked at the 14th prince and said, "Value was a mutual thing. If you were valuable to me, I would pay for you. First, from now on, the Li family will be an aristocratic family of the Shengyan dynasty. As long as the Shengyan dynasty exists, the Li family will also exist. Second, Together with the imperial tutor, we will mobilize the strength of the whole country to fight against the Black Canal Basilica, said the 14th prince. Obviously, the 14th prince had done a lot of homework before coming here. The 2 points he mentioned at this moment were almost what Li Zongjie wanted to hear from Li Zongjie. Of course, the 14th prince didn't need to worry about the second point. It was just the Black Canal Basilica. Li Zongjie naturally had his ways to deal with it. If you want me to help you, there is another condition. You have to be my disciple. Make a master and disciple oath. Swear on your Saturn Palace. If you break the oath, I don't need to do anything. Your Saturn Palace will self-destruct. Li Zongjie said calmly. At the same time, he looked at the 14th prince. This was Li Zongjie's request. Although it was too easy for the 14th prince to be his disciple, it was still a dream for him. This was something that even the 14th prince could only dream of. In this way, Li Zongjie was directly tied to the White Deer residence. Apart from his age, Li Zongjie was also the imperial protector. It would not lower the 14th prince's status at all. On the contrary, it would be a great help to the 14th prince unknowingly. The 14th prince, who didn't have much talent in the imperial court, would have a strong backing from now on. With Li Zongjie's support, who would he need to be afraid of? If Li Zongjie wanted to help a prince ascend the throne, who would dare to stop him? In the entire Xingyan dynasty, who would dare to stop him? I, Long Pingon, swear on my Saturn Palace that I will be the disciple of Master Li Zongjie today. If I disobey my master's teachings and violate the sect's rules, my Saturn Palace will be shattered and my spirit will be destroyed. Obviously, the 14th prince's will was extremely firm. Moreover, the 14th prince also knew that if he did anything with ulterior motives, Li Zongjie would definitely not let him go. Based on Li Zongjie's previous glorious achievements, the 14th prince's fate would not be any better than being destroyed. Chapter 1049. Changing the 14th prince's fate and helping him ascend to the throne was naturally beneficial to the Li family. The 14th prince seemed to know that even if he became the crown prince, it would still take a long time for him to ascend to the throne. In the current world, the only person who could help him ascend to the throne was the imperial protector in front of him, Li Zongjie, one of the 5 elements star palaces. When the 14th prince obtained the Saturn Star Palace, it had already given him a hint, which was similar to a prophecy. The prophecy foretold Li Zongjie. Only with the help of this person would he have the opportunity to control the Xingyan dynasty. After that, the 14th prince left happily. The 14th prince naturally knew what he had to do next. First, he had to become the crown prince. Otherwise, he could forget about ascending to the throne. Young lord, how is it? What did you say? Teacher has agreed to help me. Haha, this matter is settled. The turmoil in the Sacred Flame Royal City will be huge. The 14th prince said excitedly. Teacher? What teacher? Old Lu was shocked and surprised by the 14th prince's words. He did not even understand what the 14th prince meant. I have already become imperial tutor's disciple. The 14th prince said excitedly. In his heart, he could not believe that this matter had progressed so smoothly. Without Li Zongjie's help, the 14th prince had almost no hope of becoming the emperor of the Xingyan dynasty. Even after becoming the crown prince, the chances were slim. However, the rule was that after all the princes reached adulthood, they had to choose a prince to be the crown prince and establish him as the crown prince. As for how long the current emperor wanted to achieve, it depended on his mood. If he was in a good mood, he could rule the world. Moreover, with his own cultivation, once he entered the sovereign realm, it would be difficult for him to die even if he wanted to. With the current resources, it was not difficult for the Emperor Xingyan to break through to the sovereign realm. Ah, what does this mean? Even though old Lu was experienced and knowledgeable, when he heard this news, he still couldn't take it. Li Zongjie had become the imperial tutor at such a young age, which meant that he had the strength to do so. However, it was still uncertain if he was qualified enough to become the 14th prince's teacher. Young master, you mustn't be bewitched. You mustn't be the slightest bit careless when it comes to apprenticeship. I have my own plans. Let's go to the imperial palace and get something. It didn't take long for the 14th prince to obtain a command medallion from Emperor Xingyan. Although he only had one legion in his hands, he had already declared that he would unify the fringe. This chaotic land was rich in resources and filled with bandits. God knows how many experts came to such places to fish for gold. But in this era, the cities were governed by their own laws. If you have a big fist, people will be afraid of you. And most importantly, the people of the fringe never paid taxes. Therefore, this was a huge headache for the Xingyan dynasty. If the Xingyan dynasty's army were to attack the fringe, all the city lords and overlords of the fringe would put aside their grievances and unite to drive the Xingyan dynasty out. To think that the 14th prince, who was the youngest, actually dared to make such a bold statement. Sacred Flame Heavenly Emperor didn't say that Yi Shiwen was young and frivolous. If Yi Shiwen wanted to go, Sacred Flame Heavenly Emperor would let him go. However, if Yi Shiwen went outside and made a great contribution, the major forces in the city would have fewer opportunities to rope him in. In the end, without the support of a consortium behind him, how could he compete with the other princes? Obviously, in the eyes of others, the 14th prince wanted to use this opportunity to take refuge outside. Conquering the fringe in 3 months was nothing but a pipe dream. It was better to say that he was going for a vacation. Even if he didn't manage to conquer the fringe, Emperor Xingyan wouldn't chop his head off. Taking 10,000 steps back. Even if he really succeeded and made great contributions, by the time he returned, the situation in the city would have stabilized and the position of crown prince would have been settled. He wouldn't have the opportunity to control the relationships between the major families. Therefore, the 14th prince was indeed a trash among trash. He was simply incapable in both civil and military matters. Under such circumstances, trying to attract attention would only end up shooting himself in the foot. The reason why the 14th prince decided to do so was because of Li Zongjiu's advice. The fringe had always been a thorn in his side and a thorn in his heart. If he could deal with the fringe properly, he would be able to do so. If he could deal with this matter properly, it would definitely become a highlight. Moreover, the regiment that the 14th prince took with him, it was the famous White Tiger Army. Summon Wang Ding. Li Zongjiu ordered. Soon, someone from the White Deer Mansion went to inform Wang Ding. When Wang Ding heard that Li Zongjiu had summoned him, he immediately put down all his official duties and rushed to Li Zongjiu. Young master, you are looking for me? What position do you hold now? Li Zongjiu looked at Wang Ding and asked. Young master, I am the vice commander of the City Guard Legion. Wang Ding replied respectfully. Such a City Guard Legion was different from the one that the 14th prince had taken away. The 14th prince took with him only 5,000 soldiers. However, the City Guard Legion had a total of 200,000 soldiers. Vice Commander, what are the requirements for becoming a commander? Li Zongjiu nodded and asked. Wang Ding's progress had exceeded Li Zongjiu's expectations. He didn't expect Wang Ding to become a vice commander so quickly. Of course, Wang Ding's breakthrough in strength and Taifai's care and support were closely related. In less than half a year, the current commander will step down. At that time, candidates will be selected from among the 4 vice commanders. One of the vice commanders has already been killed, the one from last time. He came in late. His strength is average, and he's only here to temporarily take over the position. There's another one who came in through connections. He has no achievements and has a lot of violations of discipline. Therefore, he's the only one who can compete with me. There's only one person left. This person is called Yuan Mashan. According to our latest information, it seems that this Yuan Mashan has been roped in by the 3rd prince. The competition in half a year will depend on what Yuan Mashan does. Li Zongjiu nodded after listening. He looked at Wang Ding. In other words, if you get rid of Yuan Mashan, you will be the future commander, right? Li Zongjiu said. Hearing his young master's words, how could Wang Ding not understand what Li Zongjiu meant? He wanted to help him. Yes, young master. As long as Yuan Mashan gives up, the position of the next commander will be mine. Wang Ding said excitedly. Let's go and find this Yuan Mas Han. Chapter 1050. While they were talking, a carriage had already been prepared at the door. This carriage had no other tasks except to wait for Li Zongjio to set off. If Li Zongjio needed anything, this carriage would be waiting for him at all times. Wang Ding did not expect Li Zongjio to be so decisive. He would go straight to Yuan Mashan's residence. What should he say to Yuan Mashan after meeting him? Wang Ding couldn't help but have a headache. However, this matter obviously didn't need Wang Ding to worry about. Anyway, he just needed to follow Li Zongjio. Young master would have his ways. At this moment in Yuan Mashan's residence, the third prince was there too. He brought a group of mysterious men of sacrifice with him. He was openly discussing with Yuan Mashan how to kill Wang Ding. That Wang Ding has guards by his side day and night. I'm afraid it won't be so easy to take his life silently. Yuan Mashan said with a frown. The 20 men of sacrifice in the courtyard were powerful. However, Yuan Mashan would not be able to protect himself if they found out that it was him. Moreover, this assassination was the last resort. It would be easy to give himself away. Moreover, if he was careless and allowed the other party to escape, there would be endless trouble in the future. Yuan Mashan thought that the third prince had some brilliant plan. He did not expect it to be such a move. Obviously, Yuan Mashan was disappointed. Moreover, if the third prince wanted to use Yuan Mashan to get rid of Wang Ding, why didn't he do it himself? It was obvious that the third prince wanted to hide behind the scenes and let him be the scapegoat. If he succeeded, it would naturally be good, but if he failed, the consequences could be imagined. But when that time came, the third prince himself would not be implicated. What's wrong? Old Yuan, could it be that you don't trust me? If you don't use this group of death warriors, what other methods do you have to trip up Wang Ding? Furthermore, at this time, if you don't kill Wang Ding, he will definitely turn around and kill you. The third prince said unhurriedly. It seemed as though Yuan Mashan had no other way out. This was the only path he could choose. In 7 days, you will have a trial in the wild forest. At that time, Wang Ding will definitely attend. As long as we intercept this guy, won't this matter be settled? The third prince sneered. Kill Wang Ding. I can help you settle everything after that. No matter how valuable a person is, as long as he is dead, he is worthless. Yuan Mashan was still a little hesitant. But using this method, that person in White Deer Mansion, Yuan Mashan was clearly afraid of Li Zongjio. Who in the city wasn't afraid of Li Zongjio? In fact, they believed that as long as Li Zongjio walked out and said something, they would be able to kill Li Zongjio. Sacred Flame Royal City would be turned upside down if Lin Fan said anything. Therefore, these people were watching the White Deer Mansion anxiously. They were afraid that Li Zongjio would target them if he was in a bad mood. If that happened, trouble would follow. No one had ever been able to threaten them to such an extent. It was simply terrifying. You are talking about Li Zongjio? Who does he think he is? If not for father's consideration of the person behind Li Zongjio, how could he have his current position? He is just a puppet that was pushed out. He can't cause any trouble in Sacred Flame Royal City. The third prince said solemnly. His words were also criticizing Li Zongjio. It even made people believe that Li Zongjio was a piece of trash who didn't know anything. He only knew how to rely on the power behind him to intimidate others. Just as the third prince finished speaking, a voice rang out. The servants of the Yuan residence hurriedly came to report. They said that Lord Imperial Tutor of the White Deer Mansion was already at the entrance. What? You are only saying this when he is already at the entrance? What the hell were you doing earlier? Yuan Mashan was stunned when he heard this. Li Zongjio was actually here. Could it be that Li Zongjio had heard the third prince badmouthing him here? So he directly came here? But even if that was the case, Li Zongjio's speed was too fast. He walked in so directly. Clearly, it wasn't because of this matter. What? Li Zongjio is here? The third prince and the others were stunned because the 20 men of sacrifice were still standing in the courtyard. I was wondering why your courtyard was filled with killing intent. These people are all men of sacrifice, right? You actually raised so many men of sacrifice. It seems like this Yuan Mashan has saved up quite a lot of money. Li Zhongjio and Wang Ding slowly walked over from the 2 rows of masked men of sacrifice in black clothes. The third prince and Yuan Mashan's eyes were about to pop out of their sockets. It should be known that these men of sacrifice were prepared for Wang Ding. They didn't expect Wang Ding and Li Zhongjio to come here and meet these men of sacrifice directly. Could it be that Wang Ding had gotten wind of some news and had come to cause trouble? Although he felt uneasy, Yuan Mashan still greeted them with a smile. He could refuse to welcome Wang Ding, but he couldn't refuse to welcome Li Zhongjio. After all, Li Zhongjio's current status was not ordinary. He wasn't someone who could be refused just because he wanted to. With Li Zhongjio's status, Yuan Mashan naturally had to receive him grandly when he came to Yuan Mashan's house. I didn't know Imperial Tutor Li would be coming. Yuan Mashan didn't go out to greet you, please forgive me. Yuan Mashan said respectfully, and even bowed to Li Zhongjio. Come in. After Li Zhongjio entered, he directly sat on the high seat. Sitting beside Li Zhongjio was the third prince. At this moment, the third prince didn't know how to face Li Zhongjio. If Li Zhongjio knew about their conversation just now, it would be hard to imagine what would happen. It was hard to predict what would happen. It made people feel uneasy. Therefore, the third prince simply sat there and didn't dare to say a word. Moreover, Li Zhongjio acted as if he didn't see him at all. He directly ignored him. Yuan Mashan glanced at the third prince. Just a moment ago, he said that the other party was a piece of trash and a puppet. Now that the other party was sitting in front of him, he didn't even dare to breathe loudly. It was a little embarrassing. Wang Ding stood behind Li Zhongjio. Wang Ding had never seen the third prince before. Moreover, the third prince was traveling in disguise. He didn't even bring anyone with him. He only brought these men of sacrifice in front of him. After all, it wasn't something to be proud of. The fewer people who knew about it, the better. Yes, subordinate Yuan Mashan greets Lord Imperial Tutor. Yuan Mashan hurriedly bowed and said, Get up. You don't need to choose this year's City Guard Legion commander. You can choose again next year. You are Yuan Mashan? That you're tuning in to the Li Mei's Wuxia Whispers YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.